everybody, and welcome to Real Estate Investing course. My name is Nev, and I will be your instructor for this absolutely free course that is going to be offered in a series over the upcoming days and weeks. Now, first thing first, let's uncover a couple of things of who's this for, who's this not for, so that you can make a quick decision whether you want to stick around and go through it, or if you're deciding, not for me, I'm out. So who is this for? Well, it's for brand newbies who are looking to get into their first deal ever when it comes to real estate. It's for intermediate and even advanced folks who are looking for a next deal and looking for different strategies of how one can invest in real estate. Now, most of us are very familiar with the typical, you drive around town or you spend time on Zillow or you have an agent and they find a property, you go visit, you make an offer, you take a loan from the bank and go through that entire process. And that's, of course, one of the aspects and one of the ways that you can get into real estate. There are some of the other ones where it's more of the paper stuff, or maybe you're a partner where you're lending or sharing on the equity or getting from money from your lending. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're going to be talking about very specific strategy that is quite perfect, actually, if you're looking for discounted properties. So if you don't want to pay a full price, you're looking for a discounted property, and you're not necessarily afraid to do a little bit of research, to take a little bit of risk. And I'm going to explain why and how all of that is. Legal explanations, notices, and everything else. I want to be very clear about stuff. Number one, I am not a financial advisor. I cannot tell you what to purchase or not to purchase. I am not an accountant. I can't talk to you about what will or will not make sense for you and your personal financial situation. Number three, I am not an attorney. I do not give legal advice, and I try not to do that on the channel or live or anywhere else. So those things are important to you, and you need those people on your team. Make sure you find people who are certified and able to provide you with that service, because I am not that guy. I just happen to be a guy that figured out some of the things, and I want to help out as many people as I possibly can. The mere goal of this video series and of all of my education is to open up your eyes, open up your mind, and let you understand and uncover different strategies that exist, that then you can become more educated to understand and see if that's something that you want to pursue, get more education, and potentially get some experience alongside with that. Final piece I want to share with you is that real estate is very illiquid. It's much less liquid than something like stocks, bonds, ETFs, or crypto. So if you get into it, there's a potential that you might be holding it for months, even years, sometimes even decades, and you may or may not be able to sell it. So there's no guarantee, there's no promises with it. Nobody can promise nor guarantee any of those things to you. And I think it's important for you to understand. Also, with some of these properties, because we're not going to be doing traditional method of having a real estate agent who can guide you through things, and although you can, and we're not going to have like inspection stuff, because that's not what these deals allow for at the time that they are being offered for purchase. It does require research, and I think it's important to do as much as you possibly can before you deciding to go in it. But because there's some of the pieces lacking that you would get if you were to purchase, say, like your own personal residence to live in, and you know how multiple people walk through it and try to give you as many assurances as possible that things are legit. A lot of this stuff you're going to have to figure out and learn and do on your own. And some of the things you're not going to be able to do. For example, a house inspection. That's just not a thing that exists within this realm. And this is the reason why these properties are offered at such a discount. There's also a potential that you might have to go through fixing a lot of properties. So if you're afraid of fixing, if you're afraid of doing that stuff, this is likely not for you. If you're looking for a way to get rich by putting $1 today and walk out with $10,000 tomorrow, this is not it either. It is going to take a little bit of time, because you need to actually have some cash to invest, number one. Number two, you need to get some education. Number three, you need to find these properties. And number four, it's not a guarantee that just because you find something, just because you like it, just because you have money, that you're actually going to be able to get in it and become become a property owner of that particular place. Now, who am I? My name is Nev, and you may or may not have seen me before. You may or may not have been reading some of my books or watching some of the videos or attending the podcast or whatnot. But if you don't know me, I came to United States about 20 some years ago now. I've never left and been here ever since. And in 2008, when the real estate market was crashing, my world and financial life was crashing as well. And I decided that I needed to make a lot of change. And change I made in 2009, I went in, purchased my first investment property, and from there on, I continued investing in real estate for all of that time. Now, I've done all kinds of different deals, from your traditional buy to the realtor, all the way to off-market stuff, all the way to being a private lender. I've done some construction work and improvements. I've done flips. I've done rentals. I've done single-family homes, multifamily homes, apartment-style homes. So I've done a few different things, is what I'm trying to say. Now, does that make me an expert? I wouldn't say so. Some of the people might, but I wouldn't say so. It just makes me a guy who has learned some of the stuff by doing. I've made some errors, and I'm going to share some of those things with you so that you don't make those errors, because errors can be very stressful and very, very costly, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time, your health, your energy, your relationships, and everything else. So I don't want you or anybody else to repeat the mistakes that I already had to pay for. They're already paid, so let's use them to benefit everybody. Who is this for? Now, this is if you're a brand new person just thinking about wanting to get into real estate investing. This is perfect if you are looking for your first deal. If you've already done some of the deals and you're just looking for new strategies, this is also good for intermediate and even advanced folks who have been within the space but maybe haven't done this strategy, or maybe haven't even heard about this strategy. This strategy is, I don't want to call it secret per se, but it's not well known and not a lot of investors utilize it. But I absolutely love it because it gives you an opportunity, an ability, a possibility to purchase properties for pennies on a dollar. And then if you want to flip them, you can make not like 10%, 20%. I'm talking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10x. Now, I am not guaranteeing that you will find anything. I'm not guaranteeing that you will make money on it. Real estate is very illiquid, and like anything else, it goes up and down in price, and there's no guarantee nor promise that you will make or not make money with it. A lot of the stuff, what you do, also comes in from your actions. So a lot of things won't just simply happen because you want them to happen. You have to take certain actions, and sometimes you're going to make mistakes that hopefully you learn from and utilize and leverage those mistakes to improve. What I'm going to do in this free course is I'm going to be sharing with you some of the thoughts, ideas, techniques, and talk about what these deals are, where you can find them, what are some of the prices that you can expect to see, how do we think about the money that we need to put down for this stuff. You know, can you finance it? Can you not finance it? Is it a down payment? Is it a purchase outright? Where do I find the money in order to be able to do this? Because you might be brand new, starting out, wanting to change your life, wanting to make a difference, wanting to improve what you do for a living. Because I don't know, maybe you love your job, maybe you don't love your job, maybe you don't even have a job, or you're looking for a new career. I have no clue where you are or what you're looking to do, but you might be looking and saying, look, I would love to participate in this. I would love to get into real estate, especially in the time and age when inflation is going through the roof. And we know that real estate is one of the very few assets that actually is good to have during inflation. Unlike NASDAQ, can we say that? Is that all right? Because the prices have gone down severely in the last like few days, few weeks, few months even, right? It's all coming on down. So if you're thinking about that, but you're saying, yes, I understand it, I get it, I want it, I'm interested, but I don't have the money, we're also going to talk about some of the money ideas and strategies of what you can do in order to boost that investment fund, as I like to call it, in order to allow you to participate in some of these deals. We're also going to spend a lot of time talking about mindset. Now, mindset is very, very important because it sets us up for failure or success, and those that fail to understand how their own mind works will be slave to it. I don't want you to be slave to it. I don't want myself to be a slave to it. So I like to focus a lot about thinking on those things. this is all of interest to you, that's what you can expect to learn. You can expect to get to know yourself better. You can expect to learn what these deals are and where you can find them. You can expect to learn some thoughts and ideas of how do you boost up some of the money in order to be able to benefit from these deals that are coming up. You're going to learn also about how you react when it comes to pressure, or how you react when it comes to money, or what your thoughts are or beliefs are. We're going to be covering a lot of different things, and it's all going to be 100% absolutely free to you. All I ask in return is, if you're liking it, smash the like button, smash subscribe, smash bell notifications so you get notified every time the video drops. And of course, I am excited that we are going live right now. So if this is all of interest to you, do all of those things, put stuff in a comment, let's make sure we connect, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Hi, Derek Warner here. Some time ago I had run across the concept of developing multiple revenue streams for myself, but due to demands of job and family, a few years later I was still working on it with just the job to sustain me. Nev was offering a webinar that involved a real estate system that could generate cash quickly, and I really feel like that the way Nev structures this, that the risk profile is extremely good. 5-figure annual revenue stream. Thank you, Nev.
Hey folks, Nev here from One Deal Away, and I am beyond excited that we are doing this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but life gets in the way and certain things happen. And so I'm excited that we're doing this real estate on the cheap mini challenge. So if you're ready for it, make sure you do me a huge favor. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, bell notification button, because this is going to come in series of different videos that we're going to be doing in the course of next few days and next few weeks. So I am thrilled that you are here, and I hope to give you as much as I possibly can, all for absolutely free. Now, what is Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge? Let's start with that before we go on to anything else. And Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge is basically a challenge. Whether you decide to accept it or not is your decision, to help you find properties that exist out there on off-market markets, if you would, that you can purchase for fraction of the cost. Not just the market price, I'm talking the assessed value that the government puts on these. I'm going to explain to you what they are, where you can find them, how you get into it, and all kinds of different and cool things and strategies. And I think it's going to be very easy when I give it to you very briefly of what it is. Imagine you want to get into real estate investing, yes? All right. Well, many people want to do that. But the challenge right now, not the Real Estate on the Cheap challenge, but the challenge is that the price of properties is really, really high. On top of that, you might need to get into financing. And as you know, the Fed is changing the interest rates right now. So it's going to be even more expensive and potentially more challenging to get financing. So in this challenge, I'm going to show you how you can get into really dirt cheap properties. Sometimes they're going to be developed properties like single family homes or multifamily homes, or maybe even apartment buildings. And in other cases, they might just be pieces of land that you can buy for a few hundred or few $1,000 and be able then to do whatever you want to do with it. If you want to develop it, if you want to fix it up, if you want to flip it without doing anything, all of those things are absolutely possible. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff in the upcoming days and weeks as we go through this challenge. So I hope you're really excited, and as excited as I am, and I hope you can see my energy of being so excited about it. Now, we're going to divide this in a few different categories and ways that we're going to do this. The first part is going to be, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the mindset. The big part about getting into something, especially if you've never done it, is your brain goes, oh, wait, I don't know. This is kind of scary. We've never done it. And your mind is going to say, never mind, just go back to your comfort. It's like a well-meaning mother. It wants to protect you. It wants to make sure that you're safe. And so your brain is an amazing tool, but sometimes our brains tell us things when it becomes like, this is scary. We don't know what to do with this. Run, run, don't do it. So we end up stopping ourselves before we actually ever reach success. Now, I don't know about you, but I can tell you that I have done this one too many times to tell you that it's absolutely true. Now, here it is. Have you ever gone through a seminar, a webinar, read a book or something where you read about the cool idea and you got so excited and you were like, yes, I can do this. And then you jump into it and you start like doing a little bit about it, and maybe you get some success, maybe you don't. But the next thing you know is you go in and all of a sudden your brain goes, oh, this is too hard. I don't know if this is good. I don't know how I feel about this. Maybe I should talk to somebody. And then you start coming up with excuses of why you shouldn't be doing something that you know you must do if you were to change your life, right? Like, one thing we can all potentially, hopefully agree on is that if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? Now, if you are in a place where everything is hunky-dory and everything is wonderful and perfect, and you're happy with the income that you have, and you have great investments that you're ready, and you are able to retire right now and have some, as they call it, FU money, where you can walk away from situations that don't feel good to you, then congratulations. This is not for you. You don't need to participate. But if you find yourself in a position, in a situation where you think to yourself, wait a minute, maybe I have a good job. Maybe I am enjoying what I'm doing. Maybe I have a family that I love. Or maybe I don't have a good job. Maybe I don't enjoy what I'm doing. Maybe my income is not that great. And I'm looking for new ways to improve how I'm making money, how I'm basically making more money from the money. And I don't mind spending a little bit of time on a free mini course to learn about this opportunity and see, does it maybe make sense for me to do this? Now, if that is what your mind is saying, you should continue, not just with this episode in particular, but also subscribe to the whole thing and make sure you follow all of the episodes as they come out and as they're being delivered. We're going to go in, and like I said, we're going to talk about the mind, and we're going to focus about why is our mind doing certain things or not doing certain things. We're also going to talk a little bit about money, because you might be thinking to yourself, like, great, it sounds like a lovely idea to be able to find a property for much cheaper and then, potentially flip it and make some money from it. But where is the money going to come to actually get into that deal? How does that work? So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. We're going to focus a little bit on some math. Now, before you walk away, because I said the M word, it's not going to be hard math. Let me explain. Let me give you an example. And if you can understand this, then you basically have all the tools that you need in order to move forward with this. Are you ready? Now, picture this. There's a property out there. And the market value right now is the average price of a home, which is about, let's say, $350,000. Great. That's the average going rate. That's what realtor tells you they can sell it for. That's what the buyer, whoever they might be, is saying, yes, I will absolutely buy it because I do see that amount of money matching what I want to get. So no problem there. And then it has assessed value of, say, $250,000, because typically in the healthy economy, the assessed value, the value that the government looks to basically get the taxes out of it, typically, not always, but typically is lower than the market value. Now, let's imagine there's a beautiful house, $350,000 is the market value, $250,000 is the assessed value, and it's being on the market right now, being offered at $29,000. Is that a good deal? Well, I know some of you might be saying, nope, that's not for me, and that's fine. Some of you might be saying, yes, that's a great deal. I definitely want in. And some of you might be saying, well, it depends. And those of you who are saying, well, it depends, you're likely an attorney or an accountant or maybe something else, maybe an engineer. I don't know. But the critical thinker in you is saying, well, it depends. And I agree with you. It has a potential to be a great deal, but we don't know yet. We have to do a certain amount of research to understand, is this still a good deal? Let me explain. Let's say that it is $350,000 market value, $250,000 assessed value, being offered for sale at $29,000, and it's located in one of the growing areas of a well-known town or close to a well-known town. It has great access, it's easy to come through, there's no easements, there's no other problems with it. In that case scenario, yes, it's likely going to be a very good deal. Now, same house, same price, same valuations and everything. However, it's now located in the middle of nowhere. You can't get to it because it's surrounded by other people's land. There's no easement on it. It's on a steep slope and it's kind of falling apart. And the, individuals who might be good at building and developing and architects are saying there's no way you can build anything on it. In that case scenario, it's not a good deal, right? So if you've learned anything new, even by this point when we didn't even get started, make sure you absolutely hit subscribe, like, notification button, because we're going to be going into all of this and talking much more in depth. I just wanted to go in and introduce this topic to you. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about what specifically we are talking about when we talk mindset. So I hope you're excited for that. I hope you will join me in the next episode when we go in and go much deeper into the mindset, because that is the number one thing that we have to overcome, is ourselves, our own mind, our own viewpoints before we can do anything else. I look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away. Hi there, and welcome back to the second episode of the series of the Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. As promised in the first episode, we're going to be focusing a bit more on the mindset. Now, this is important because our mind guides what we will or will not do. oftentimes we get excited about something at the forefront of it. For example, we attend a seminar, a webinar, buy a book, we read it, we get so excited about it. And then as we get into it, something happens where we pretty much sabotage ourselves and never move forward with it, right? Like, how many times have you purchased a book, for example, and you said, oh, yes, this is going to be a perfect book. I'm going to read it. And then you buy it and it arrives and you put it on a shelf and then it starts collecting dust. And a year goes by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by. You never read it. Now, will you benefit from that book if you never read it? The answer is, of course, absolutely not. Now, you bought it for a reason, right? Why did you buy it? Well, obviously, there was something in the book that got you excited about it, whether it was a work of fiction from a favorite author and you just wanted to go and read it, or maybe it was nonfiction book and there was information in it. Maybe you heard it from a friend or maybe even a YouTuber that they were talking about what different aspects and what different things this particular book can offer. And you thought to yourself, hey, this could be a great way for me to learn about XYZ. Maybe you wanted to learn how to trade stocks and you bought a book on stocks. Or maybe you wanted to learn how to trade options or crypto or develop a website or whatever. And somehow over the time, you never actually went through it. Crazy enough story is a couple of things that you may or may not know about me. So I guess let's get to know each other just a little bit in case you're brand new to me and to the whole channel. I I grew up back in Serbia, Yugoslavia at that time, and I came to United States when I was 18 years of age, and I've never left. So I've been here in US for a very, very long time. Some of you might have picked up on the accent, some of you have no clue, and this is a complete surprise. Hello. Anyways, I started to by having a job in higher education, and I actually still have a job in higher education. It's a different job, but I still have a job and I keep it for all kinds of different reasons that we're not going to get into. But what I realized is that my job is never going to get me retired or to the point where I can feel good about things or I want to do stuff. And so I decided that it's time to start looking into investing. And of course, even though I went to the business school and I got my MBA, I had no clue what the heck I was doing in the market. So what did I do? Well, I listened to one person. Actually, I listened to a couple of different people, predominantly on MSNBC. And since then, let me tell you, I threw the TV away. I no longer own TV or cable for that matter. Not that they were the reason, but they definitely didn't help. Anyways, I listened to some of the folks, and there's one particular individual that I'm not going to name for my own personal protection, but let's just put it out there that now on Reddit and even on YouTube, you might follow strategies that are called basically do the complete opposite of what this particular person tells you. If you know who that is, hey, congratulations. If you don't, just be careful who you listen to. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, I listened to what they said and I would buy the stocks. And when they said buy, I bought. And then they said buy more. And then I would buy more. And they said, oh, now you own real estate. I'm like, yes. What did I own? I owned REITs. I did not own a single property, I did not participate in it. They said, buy mutual funds. So I went and bought mutual funds. And I never realized that by buying mutual funds, I'm putting 100% of the money. I'm taking 100% of the risk. And I only, if everything goes perfectly well, get only 30% of the benefit. Now that's crazy, right? But nobody teaches you that kind of stuff. But I did it because I was motivated. I wanted to do this. Next thing you know, 2007 shows up. Real estate is going crazy. Everybody's becoming a realtor. People are buying. Ninja loans are everywhere. Complete mayhem. At this moment in time, I was living in Southern California and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I need to become a real estate agent because they are the ones who are making money. All of my friends are actually taking real estate courses. They're all trying to become agents. Everybody's going completely bananas, crazy. I am going out there buying stocks. I can't qualify necessarily to do what I wanted to do for particular legal reasons, immigrant and all of that stuff, although that has been covered. So blessed to be here and able to stay without any of those complications. However, I was not able to participate and it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because what came after 2007? Well, 2008. You got it. And what came in end of 2007 and into 2008? Well, it was a real estate market crash. I mean, it was a mother of all crashes. And everybody at that point was saying, hey, real estate can never go down. It can never go down. And of course, everybody kept buying and buying and buying and borrow and buy and borrow and buy. And then we reached the top. And then when you reach the top, well, there's only one way to go, and that is the way down. And down we went. The prices started to crash. The mayhem ensued. Fed had to step in. A lot of people lost homes, destroyed their credits for next 7 to 10 years. And of course, we all talk about it now in history, especially those of us that were there to watch it and witness it. Right after that, I decided it's time to go in and invest. And that is when I started going into real estate and learning about different strategies and different ways to do it. And there are some mainstream strategies like go out on Zillow, although Zillow wasn't really a thing at that time. I mean, it was, but it wasn't as much. Let's just put it out there, right? Like find a realtor, find a place, right? So that was, yes, a strategy, but there are other strategies that allow you to go in and get into a property that is being foreclosed on. Maybe they're foreclosed by the bank. Maybe they're foreclosed by the government. Maybe there's some sort of issue that maybe owner has passed away and now it's going to the probate and that's how it's going to be sold. So there's different ways that you can get into real estate. Of course, there's another way where you can actually be a lender in real estate. Imagine that, right? You know about being a borrower, but you could be a lender in real estate. So there's all these cool strategies that exist out there. And I was fascinated with the world. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to be this. So I went through, took some courses. And here's the thing about me is that when I get into the course, I make sure that I complete it because you know what? I paid good money for it. So I make sure to commit and do whatever I need to do in order to at least, if nothing else, test the strategy. But it's not just the taking of the course. It's once you complete the course, you actually have to take some action and do something with it. So I am very firm about those pieces. Now, I will be also very honest to tell you that there have been some books that I purchased because I wanted to get into them, but things happen. Life happens. Parents get ill, or you got to take care of the kids, or you got to take your dog to the vet, or whatever the issues are. And, time, the clock ticks. It doesn't care for you or me or anybody else. Time moves on. And if we are not committing ourselves to take the time to do specific actions all the time, consistently over the time, well, time will pass and nothing else will change. So there have been books that I purchased that I still have on my shelf, collecting the dust, and diligently every week I dust it off and go, yep, tomorrow. So let's learn something from me and hopefully yourself. Let's not say tomorrow. Let's do it right now. Let's not postpone for things. Let's schedule time to do it. Another example that I'm going to be completely transparent. In 2020, when the whole crazy pandemic thing started, I said, you know what? We're going to do this. I am petrified of going live on YouTube, so I'm going to do live shows every single day. And I did it. I actually did it for quite a few months, and I got over my fear of going live, and I got over my fear of getting in front of a camera and doing all kinds of stuff. Because interestingly enough, I was perfectly fine doing live events, doing live seminars, teaching classes, because I have and I do teach classes live in person with small groups, large groups, anywhere from tutoring a single person all the way to groups as large as a few hundred to a couple thousand people. So I am comfortable doing those pieces, but for some odd reason, staring at a freaking camera, not knowing what's happening on the other side, it was different for me. Now, I know a lot of educators probably felt the same way. When the pandemic hit and you had to go on Zoom, you're like, I am teaching a camera how to sew a sweater or cook a meal or do algebra, whatever it is that you are teaching people. And it's weird and it's very awkward, can be very awkward. But one of the things that happened is that as it was all moving on, I was actually starting to realize it was taking too much time and I stepped away. Now, could I have potentially found time? Yes. Did I quit it? Or, well, didn't quit it. I'm still around. I'm still doing this stuff. Hello. But I did postpone it. I put it on a pause for a very specific reason. Those were a couple of the reasons were that I wanted to get deep into Web3 development to understand how to actually build websites and do the tech stuff, and wanted to implement some of the pieces into my business and do coaching and really expand on the services to be able to assist folks. So I did have a plan of why I postponed it. If that is who you are and you're saying, well, yes, I have a plan and I might need to postpone it, that is fine. What you want to do, what I would suggest you do, is schedule it. Now, time and time again, there's a thing called science. Maybe you believe in it, and maybe you don't. I'm not judging. I personally happen to believe in science and research. And science and research basically tell us is that you can motivate people all you want, which is what I'm trying to do here, in case you're wondering what's going on. You can motivate them, and people are going to feel like all rah rah, which is why if you've ever attended a conference, a webinar, a seminar, whatever, you walk out of that stuff and you feel all kinds of pump, like, yes, I can do this. The challenge is that if you don't schedule things you want to do into your actual schedule, and you're not specific enough on how you're going to address this and how you're going to take care of it, you're never going to do it. There was a science that was actually shared in one of the books. I believe it's something with habits. So if you remember it, make sure you put it into the comments. Drop me a line. Let me know what it is. Let everybody know what it is. But anyways, they were going out there and they had a groups of people that they were following. So they had a large group of people. They split them into three different groups. One group was basically said, all right, you're just going to work out. The second group was given a motivational speech and was going to go work out. And the third group was given a motivational speech, was told to work out. But they did one thing that was a bit different, and that is they actually put it down of when they're going to do it, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and here's the key, they also put in, if something falls through, what is my fallback plan? Very interesting. So what happened? Well, the people that were going to go and like try to work out, they might have gone once or twice. I mean, it was well over 90% failure rate. No bueno. The motivational group, they were like, yes, this is going to work. Motivational group did just as well or as bad, depending how you look at it, as the first group that didn't even get motivated. They were really excited. They were very pumped when they left, unlike the other group, so they felt good in a moment. However, and it's automated habits, something like that. So that's the book. Anyways, I remembered it. But anyways, they didn't do much of it anyways. The third group, the group that actually was like, yes, we're going to go work out. Yes, we got motivated. And yes, we wrote down specific things of when I'm going to work out. What am I going to do during the workout? How am I going to work out? And what is my fallback plan if I cannot work out on the scheduled time? What is my fallback plan? How am I going to deal with failure? Yes, that group outperformed the other two groups combined, and they had this like crazy success rate. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, part of the stuff that I shared at the beginning is just so that we can get to know each other just a little bit more. But the second part, the most recent part that I share with you, is the importance to understand what this particular thing between your ears, behind your eyes, can do. Is important to understand how it operates. I'm fascinated with how brains operate and what they will or will not allow us to do. So here's the thing to take away from. If this or anything else for that matter, but because I am doing the real estate on the cheap mini challenge right now, if looking for a way to potentially improve your financial picture and potentially get into real estate investing or maybe build a business around the whole thing, then it might not be the worst idea on the planet to start working on yourself and your own personal development. And with that comes working on your mindset. Now, it's one thing to say, I want the big house, right? We all say, to quote, and again, so I hate when this happens. I don't know, does this ever happen to you? Because it happens to me all the time, more than I care to admit. Anyways, Tim Ferriss show, that's what it was. See, it comes to me, but it's just, there's like a delay. Anyways, Tim Ferriss show, he interviewed somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but it was one of those interesting pieces that I really took to heart that said, yes, it's easy to know what you want or what you don't want because, and if it was that easy, we all would be multimillionaires with six-pack abs. But most of us don't have that. And there's a reason. Because it's not just about the want and desire. We spend so much time thinking about it. And I know there are some of the gurus out there that say, oh, just visualize, just visualize. Well, visualizing is great and there's some benefits to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the next episodes. But you actually have to take some action in order for all of this to work out. Because I can sit here and visualize $1 million bag dropping in my bag, $1 million bag, $1 million bag, $1 million bag, $1 million dropping in my lap, dropping in my lap. And then I open my eyes and guess what? Nothing dropped. I mean, you've been watching it. I'm doing the actual recording here. Did you see a giant bag drop? No. I mean, I was very into it. I closed my eyes. I was focused on it, right? So there's certain reason why we visualize, and again, we'll talk about it. But again, in order for me to get that $1 million to drop, and it's not going to drop from the sky. I mean, only in cartoons could you see that. Not even in movies, cartoons. And even that is a maybe. You have to do something about it. You have to change your actions, change your thinking, change your conversation, work on improving yourself. Now, one of the things that we're doing in this mini challenge is to give you some of the tools and ideas and things to think through, notes to take. There's a huge benefit on note taking, that there's a connection. And I'm not saying like take the notes on a computer. I know a lot of people do that. I know a lot of people like passively sit through the classes and passively listen to stuff. I am saying, wait. I got one of these, right? It's called a notebook. Paper version, and I have a thing called pencil, or you can use a pen. I prefer pencil just because I like the way that it feels on the pages when I write. Take notes, journal, put down things that you want, not just things that you want, but also a clean path of what you think you can do in order to fix it, and then go back and look at it and say, did action A give me the result that I was looking for? If the answer is no, then go back and try a different action. Did action B give me the results I wanted? No. Action C. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to like try something once and say, well, nothing happened, right? Like for example, me with, let's use me as an example on the YouTube piece, right? I don't expect, nor have I ever expected, that I'm going to go out there, put one video, and all of a sudden I'm going to have million subscribers. It doesn't work that way, right? So you put one video, it's probably sucky, but it's okay. And you put another one, and nobody's listening. And by video number 5, you're calling like your mother and asking her if she would subscribe, so at least you have one person. And of course, you use a different email address or a few different ones. So now you have 5, and you're 4 of those, and mom is one of them. That kind of stuff. And it's okay. But over time, the expectation is that you put energy in, and see if A, you improve, B, if there is results that you are hoping for. Now, how do we do that? You have to be very critical, but not so critical of yourself where you basically say, you're the dumbest human being on the planet, shut her down. Don't do that, but you can go and be critical to say, well, in my first video, I was doing a lot of ums and likes, and I couldn't keep my own attention up. Nonetheless, somebody else's, and it's my video. It's my video. So if that is the case, then work on removing those ums and likes and all of those things. Come up with the ways to engage. Go to take a course on speeches, improv, whatever, right? Like practice on the stuff. Work on the skill that you want to get in on. That goes for everything. Riding a bike, I don't know about you, but Lord knows I did not, look at a bike, climb on a darn thing, and just like went to town. I looked at a bike. It was scary. It was bigger than I was. I couldn't even reach it from the seat down to the pedals. So I had to do like that standing biking thing, weird, right? I fell off more times than I care, but eventually I picked it up. I learned it. And hey, I even done some tricks, although most of those ended up with me landing flat on the ground. Anyways, which is why I'm not BMX rider. Not for me. I wasn't willing to do it. I share these things to actually get you inspired and not just motivated, because that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to give you tools so that you can start thinking through of what is necessary for success. So let's recap of what we have hopefully learned by now. 1, mindset is very, very important. 2, motivation is cool, but it only lasts so long. It's kind of like eating sugar. You get a sugar high and then you crash. Same thing with motivation. You want to eat something that is much more sustainable, that will keep you going for hours on end before you start slowly crashing. That is the same thing with what happens with planning when we're talking about stuff. Come up with what you're looking to do. And in this instance, if you are looking for a way to get into real estate and not pay the top dollar for it and come up with ways, well, then what you want to do is put it down. Hey, that's what I want to do. I'm going to actually spend an hour every week or 30 minutes every day or 10 minutes every night or whatever you want. Specifically, what I'm going to do it. Well, I'm going to watch these videos whenever they come out, or I'm going to watch these videos on Sunday morning when I wake up with my cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is that you enjoy in the morning. And I'm going to spend 30 minutes every Sunday doing this stuff. And if something happens on a particular Sunday, like for example, a snowstorm or the in-laws are coming in and I got to entertain them, I can't do this. If I can't do it on Sunday, first thing in the morning, I'll do it Monday after work or Monday during lunch hour, right? So come up with those things and schedules of what's important to you, put it in your calendar, commit to it long enough and stay consistent with it. If this is helpful, another piece that can also help you with continuing with this is to like, subscribe, comment, bell button, and I will see you in the next episode. And until then, remember, you are only one deal away.
I have no idea why here in the States we are not taught the basics of investing beyond the stock market. And without Nev's knowledge and sharing of that knowledge, I would not be able to liberate myself from my debt. And I am sure that my story is not the only story of, hey, I tried to do what I was supposed to do. And Nev's business proposition, Nev's offering, Nev's services and knowledge can change that for people. His heart is larger than most humans that you have ever come across. And his business serves those humans across the board. You will be infinitely entertained and enjoy working with Nev because he's a fantastic human and a hilarious person.
and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. In the last episode, we talked a lot about the motivation and how our brains work and so on. One of the pieces that I did mention is also not being a passive learner. What does that mean? Let's go into it. Not being a passive learner. Passive learner is basically I sit here, I watch a video, or I listen to a podcast or educational material, or I sit in a class, and I am just basically the instructor is going wah 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 wah, right, like the peanuts, and I have no clue what's going on because at that moment you're not going to learn as much. Active learning basically means you have some sort of notebook and you're taking notes. Now, the benefit of having a recorded information as opposed to live is that you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can re-listen to it as many times as you want. And when you get something that is an aha moment for you, like light bulb went off, or something that is important, or something that you didn't know, you jot it down. If you get ideas by listening, because sometimes it's not just about what the person has to say, it's about the idea that you get about what they're saying. I have had many such ideas. I've actually started multiple businesses from just listening and reading other books that have nothing to do with what I created, but it created the light bulb moment in my head, gave me an idea, and I started to run with it. And that is what you can hope to get, but only by not being a passive learner and a passive reader. Same thing with my books. Now, obviously, fiction is fiction is fiction, and I enjoy it to sort of relax. It's kind of like watching a movie, but better in some instances. And But nonfiction books, for example, I highlight them. I underline on the front of the cover piece, or the right as soon as you open the cover, I jot down the important page numbers, like page 47, page 68. And so when I open a book, and I review these books all the time, I can go back and do all kinds of things and continue to learn from the same piece of book. So one of the hopefully things that you're getting from this, and that you will take to heart and to mind as well, is to become an active learner. So step number one is to actually jot down notes. Step number two is to put into practice whatever you learn as soon as you can. So when we're talking about these concepts of mindset and note taking and so on, yeah, you can say that's a great idea and not do anything about it. Well, it's not going to help you. But if you go out there and say, well, that's a good idea, you can pause this right now, go grab a piece of paper, a notebook, or whatever, and jot it down. Now, another thing that is kind of cool and very interesting about taking notes, and the reason I keep going back to actually writing things down as opposed to typing, is that because there's a research that suggests that it's very, very we imprint things into our minds, and things become much more memorable when not only do we listen and watch, but we're also take notes. So you're doing multi-level learning, not multi-level marketing. That's not what I'm talking about, right? But we are all specific kind of learners. Some of us are kinesthetic kind of thing, right? Like, so we have to like touch and move, and we have to do experiential kind of learning. That's me. We are visual, so we have to visualize certain things that we're doing, right? And some of us are auditory, meaning we have to hear it. Simply reading it doesn't do for us much of a thing. So for example, for me, like just visual, like just reading it doesn't do much for me. I am much better if I can listen and watch and do. If I can do all three, then my success rate of retaining that information for a longer period of time goes up through the roof. And that is proven, scientifically proven, that is the case for everybody. So while you're either watching this as a video or listening to it on an audible or whatever, you can go in and grab the notebook, take the notes. So what happens is that you are listening, potentially watching, but because you're writing the notes, you're seeing it right there what you're putting in. And there's a weird connection between the eye and hand coordination that even deeper puts things into our brain when we take notes, especially when they're handwritten, especially for us potentially older folk that didn't grow up and first time learned how to write by typing on a keyboard. If you were born with the way that the first thing that you did was typing on the keyboard, there is, and I don't know if there's a research for it yet, but there is a good probability that you memorize it much easier by typing. So that's fine. Again, for me, just got to know yourself. For me, if it's something important, I got to write it down on paper. Yes, I do write things on a computer all the time. However, when it's something really, really important, I need to write it down on paper. I process on paper. I do math on paper. I do everything on paper. I think on paper. And I believe that that is a reason why I am as successful as I am. Now, we can argue on the success and we can talk about that in the next episodes, but I think it's important for you to understand that. So we've talked about that being an active component of it. The next thing is that when we get certain things, or maybe you get certain tasks, for example, one of the tasks from the last episode was don't just get motivated, don't just get psyched up, but actually schedule it. The question that becomes, did you do it? Did you do the homework? Because if you didn't, you're wasting your time. You're not wasting my time because I'm already doing this and there's going to be people that are going to do it. So whatever. For me, this puppy goes out, it becomes live, everybody can see it, they can watch it 10 years from now. It doesn't matter. I'm not wasting my time, right? But you just sitting there, it's not going to do much of anything for you. So you definitely want to actually take some action with it. Something hits you, go for it right then and there. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't put it off till next month, especially if it's something that you think it's going to be challenging. And if it's easy, heck, scheduling things like pull up your phone, put it in your calendar, and then when it dings you, do it. Because here's the thing. A lot of us might go and say, yes, I'm very pumped. I'm very excited. I'm going to put it in my calendar. And then the calendar says, time to do X. And you're like, don't feel like it. So put yourself in a position where you will feel like it, right? Put some sort of carrot in place. And here, to help you with that, in the next episode, we're going to do a little bit of imagining, a little bit of visualization, and I will explain to you right now of why the visualization is great. Now, as we talked about in the last episode, just sitting there and going, more money in my pocket, more money in my pocket, it's not going to happen, right? But what happens very interestingly is that if you start visualizing specific things that you want and you start focusing on those things, your brain will be much more open to finding different ways and strategies, different ideas how to get there. That is the important aspect of visualization. Now, things are not going to magically happen just because you visualize something. You still have to take action, remember? But it is very helpful because it opens you up to the possibilities and the ideas that might come with it. So with that said, I hope you will get some sort of notebook. I hope you will watch and listen to the last episode. And I hope you will subscribe, like, comment, and do bell notification, whatever you need to do. And I will see you in the next episode. And welcome back to another episode of Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. In today's episode, we're going to do exactly as we promised in the last one. And if you haven't listened or watched that, make sure you go back and do it because these are all coming in a sequence. And today we're going to be talking about visualization. Now, as mentioned in previous episodes, simply just visualizing certain things like $1 million in my pocket, $1 million in my pocket, $1 million in my pocket is not going to magically drop a bag of $1 million into your pocket or bank account or whatever. You're going to have to do some actions. What visualization does do is open up our minds to possibilities of what might actually exist. Now, interestingly enough, science has proven that when we do visualization, our brain cannot tell a difference of imagined versus real. So, what is actually real? What is reality? Our brain cannot process it. That's why when you get into a really good book or a movie, you can get lost in it. Or when you get deep into a thought, right? Like it's not actually happening for everybody else, but it's actually happening to you and your brain is processing it. So, this is what we're going to do in today's episode is focus a bit and practice some visualization methodologies that are going to open us up to potential of what we could maybe potentially achieve at some point if we take specific action towards it. Now, because this specific set of episodes is set towards achieving and obtaining real estate deals, that's what we're going to focus on. So, one of the things that is important when we talk about visualization is typically you want to find a comfortable, quiet space. Maybe that's your bedroom, your living room, your office, your backyard, your car, the airplane. I don't care where it is, but you want to find a place where you can actually sit down and relax. It's very similar to meditation. When we sit down in meditation, we typically focus on the breath and see what comes up. In visualization, we're going to sit down or lay down if that's much more comfortable to you. Some people like to stand while doing that. Some people will walk while doing that. I know I do a lot of walking meditations, also sitting meditations as well. But visualization is sitting down and focusing on a particular thing. So here's what we're going to do. In this particular episode, in this particular session, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, find a comfortable space. You can pause this whenever you want until you get yourself situated and you get yourself comfortable. And we're going to go to a process of visualizing certain things in our life. This is not going to guarantee that you're going to get what you visualize, but what it's going to do for you is that it's going to open you up to start thinking of the ideas and ways of how we can achieve this. Now, when we focus specifically on real estate on the cheap challenge, as I mentioned in one of the previous sessions, is that we're going to be looking for ways to purchase deeply discounted properties, and I'll explain what all of those are and how they work in the future. But for right now, we're going to focus on that to be able to imagine what our life would be like if we were to get into a place where we can start obtaining some very profitable opportunities in our lives that are going to set us up financially for whatever it is that we want to do. Whether that is you want to quit your job, you want to retire early, you want an opportunity to retire early, whether you do it or not, send your kids to school, travel, vacation, start another business, start this as a business, as your primary source or secondary source of income. It doesn't really matter. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find a place where we're going to sit down and we're going to relax and we're going to close our eyes. Okay? Now I'm right here. Nobody's going to harm you. If it's easier and simpler for you to do this while nobody's watching, preferably you shouldn't be driving while doing this or operating heavy machinery. Because again, if you close your eyes and try to drive, probably not the best idea on the planet, right? So find a spot, grab a seat, sit down, and relax. I'm going to be here with you the entire time that we do this. You want your feet roughly your hips sides apart, right? Like the width of the hips or the width of the shoulders, whichever feels comfortable for you. You want to sit up straight. You want your arms gently resting on your legs. It doesn't matter if your palms are up or down, it's okay. Just listen to my voice and relax. When you're ready, feel free to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel free to make a sound. If it's relaxing to you, it's okay. Just breathe. Another breath. Deep breath in and out. I want you to focus on your feet right now and just see how they're relaxing, feel them relaxing, and move up from your feet, up the lower part of your legs, your calves, your knees, your quads. You can feel them all relaxing. Your arms are gently on your legs and they're equally as relaxed. You are simply breathing in and out while you're listening to this, and you can feel yourself completely relaxed. In your mind's eye, imagine that you're sitting at your favorite spot. Maybe that's somewhere where you've been before. Maybe that's a brand new place that you've seen on an image or a video or a movie. Maybe you just imagined it. It doesn't matter. Whatever the space is that you find very calming and relaxing. For a lot of people, that's going to be a sandy beach or somewhere by the lake or up in the woods in the forest or on the rooftop overlooking the city. And just imagine what it looks like. See the colors. Feel the breeze on your face. It's very comfortable. You are looking at things and the colors are becoming much brighter. See them become brighter. Get into the image of where you are. Notice the chair that you're sitting on. Is it wicker? Is it a beach chair? Is it a bench or maybe a blanket somewhere into the meadows? Take a deep breath and notice the smells. Maybe it's the smell of the ocean or the smell of the flowers, of the smell of the city just waking up or going to sleep. Whatever feels the best to you, just imagine it. Get yourself in that position. Imagine you have achieved what you're looking to do. You've achieved financial freedom. You're able to set yourself and your family up financially for life. You have a great income. You have lots of savings. You have plenty of assets, and you're enjoying what you're doing. You're in real estate. You've been investing for a while. And yes, while the road might have been rough at the beginning and uncertain of things, you've come a long way. You've achieved so many things. And you've seen some of the greatest deals come your way, and most of them become yours. You've put in small amounts of money and turned them into a massive wealth that allows you to retire whenever you want in comfort. And here you are in your favorite place with the love of your life right next to you. And you're enjoying and laughing, having your favorite drink in your favorite spot at a favorite time of the day. And you're talking about the past. And you're imagining all the things that you could do from here on out, because there's no limits. It's only in your mind what you can do. You've paid off your debts. You have ability to quit your job. Your kids, you can pay for the best schools out there without having to worry where the money's going to come from. You can take care of the love of your life. You can travel the world, stay in the best hotels, dine in the finest restaurants. You've had some challenges, you overcame it, and because of it, you're a much better person. Now, looking at that and getting yourself to the point where you feel so successful, what are the things that come to your mind? What are the things that you want to do? Is it that you want to just pick up and travel somewhere exotic where you've never been? Do you want to play golf all day long? Have long walks on the beach at a sunset or sunrise? Go on a hiking trip. Take a full year to travel the world and visit countries you've always dreamed about. Whatever it is that you want, it is absolutely possible for you. And you've just come to realization. Feel the joy that you have realizing you are finally financially free. You don't have to worry about showing up to job, wasting the best hours of your day doing things that you like the least. You can do anything you want. What is that? Think of that. Focus on it. Do you see what it is that you want? Think about those things and visualize them. Feel comfort and joy and satisfaction knowing that everything you've always dreamed about has come true. And now it's the next set of the chapters in your life to do other things. And maybe for you, you realize that this real estate investing thing is really what you want to continue. Or perhaps you have a very large portfolio and now you're going to offload it and have so much money that you don't even know what to do with yourself. How does that feel? What are the thoughts coming into your mind as you think of that? Note those mentally and remember them. You can stay in this moment for as long as you like, but when ready, start to focus back onto your body and how it feels. You can feel yourself relaxed and listening to my voice as I count from 3 to 1. You will start to wake up and come back to things. 3, you're noticing your body and you can feel it. You can hear the sounds around you that are happening in the space that you currently are. 2, you can smell the smells from around it and you can realize that you have just spent a little bit of time thinking and dreaming about what is possible and what you want. 1, open your eyes. Feel free to stretch out. Right? It feels good. Yeah, stretch out all of those muscles and joints, and I'm stretching here with you, and come back. Now, how did that feel? I am sure that you probably went to some magical, lovely place and have a clear picture of what you have achieved and what you want in your mind's eye. Now, this is part of the visualization, and your homework, should you choose to accept the challenge, is to write down all of the things that you want to achieve in your life. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How much money are you looking to make? What is your path and your plan? Start jotting all of those things down, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode when we talk even more about the mind and how do we get to where we want to be.
do it all in my pajamas online. I can take a little bit of capital, not much risk, and earn 5 to 6 figures in just one deal. It's such a powerful tool.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. Now, in the last episode, we talked about visualization. We've actually gone through one of those processes, and of course, feel free to watch it and listen to it as many times as you want and need. Feel free to imagine your own visualization, but I just wanted to explain it to you what it looked like. It's a very powerful technique to get us excited internally. But now it's time to start thinking through different aspects of what we need to achieve mentally before we dive into how to. Many people want to get into the how to and how do I do this and where do I find this and all these different concepts. And I promise we will talk about it. However, it's important to tackle the number one thing first, and that is our mindset. And that's why we're spending so much time on all of this stuff. And I'm sharing with you different techniques, different knowledge, components, science stuff, and everything else to help you get yourself into the gear. Whether you decide that real estate on the cheap challenge is for you and you want to get into it and you want to invest in real estate and that's what you want to do, or you're looking for something completely different, these mind techniques, these mind manifests, these abilities to control our emotions, to control our mind, to professionally and personally grow are key to just about everything we want to do in our lives. So that's why we're focusing so much on it. Now, one of the things that I want to focus on is we've talked about different tools and tips and everything else. We talked about being an active learner. We talked about visualization. We talked about taking action. We talked about all these different techniques. What I want to talk about today is to focus on the haters. 'Cause the players gonna play, and the haters gonna hate. That's right. Believe it or not, you might have friends, you might have family who are more or less set in their ways. And when you go out there and you start getting pumped about these things and you start thinking about the future and how you want to improve and how you want to change, they might start bringing you down. And I call those people the haters. This is why. Now, imagine this, right? You are in this free course, free challenge, free mini challenge that you're in, and you are starting to tell your friends about it or your family about it, and you're kind of getting all kinds of pumped, and you're like, yeah, I'm watching this guy and I'm getting kind of cool, there's cool things in it, and I'm learning about it, and I'm thinking about it. And then they go like, oh yeah, haven't you seen this guy on YouTube that throws down all of these like gurus and all the. And I'm not saying I'm a guru. I am far from it. I would never call myself a guru. I just happen to be a guy that happened to have figured out some stuff in life, and I want to share it with you and help you. And if that is what I end up achieving, amazing. And if not, then it was lovely to get to know you and spend a bit of time with you. But what you might do is that they might become people that as you start sharing not just what you learned thus far, but what you're going to continue learning, they might say, no, that's never going to work out. I mean, they're the Debbie Downers. And if your name is Debbie, I apologize. It's just a terminology that I've been told exists. So it's not that I am saying that you are the doubter, but that's just the name that people use, right or wrong. I'm just using it because everybody else does. Those are the people that just basically say, oh, that's never gonna work. Oh, now what? You are going to become this like real estate mogul. Ooh, oh, the new Trump is in our house, right? And so they're going to start making fun of you and picking on you. If you encounter those people and you know that you might have people in your life that are that way, then don't tell them about it, right? Like, keep your mouth shut. No need to add more doubt when our brain, as we talked about, is like super protective mother that tells us that we shouldn't do certain things, even though logic says maybe we should at least consider it. You don't want other people throwing in doubts and bringing you down. Here's an interesting thing about people. It's a fact. And the fact is that people are very similar to lobsters. For example, if you were to put a bunch of lobsters in a pot, imagine a giant pot with a bunch of lobsters in it, right? And they're all hanging out there. And you put the pot onto the stove, on the fire, or whatever, and the water slowly starts to heat up. And one of the lobsters goes, ooh, it's getting a little bit hot. I should get out of here. The moment that lobster starts to kind of climb up and like figure out the way to get out of the pot, guess what other lobsters do? They grab onto that lobster and pull him down. Now, they are doing that subconsciously. And many of the Debbie doubters, again, if your name is Debbie, I apologize, are doing the same thing. They can't figure out their own way to climb out of the pot and survive and make something amazing from it. So the next best thing they know how to do is yank you down to their level so that they feel just as good as they were before, because everything was handy dandy last time and it's been going fine. And comfort is this amazing thing that we all get to when we're uncomfortable in any situation, whether that is financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, it doesn't matter. When we're very uncomfortable and we're in pain, we will do just about anything to get out of it. For example, if you're outside and it's really, really, really cold and the wind is blowing and you're freezing and you can't feel your fingers anymore, and every breath that you take like feels like it freezes your nostrils, you will do just about anything to move as quickly as you possibly can, even though your body's like, I don't think I can do this anymore, to get to a place where you're warm. Once you get to the place where you're warm and you're comfortable and you have your popcorn and favorite TV show on the screen and you have your favorite drink, whatever that might be, you're like, I can stay this forever, right? So our mind already operates that way, and many people have hard time with change, even if that change is for the good. So for example, we all know that it's very good for us to go and work out, but it's not always easy for many of us to do it. Sometimes we don't have time. Sometimes it's just like, right, like it's too heavy. I'm getting out of breath. Like, what the hey? I don't, no, 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 I don't want to do this. I want to sit and be comfortable. Here's the interesting fact. The folks that actually go out and start exercising on regular basis actually become very comfortable exercising on regular basis. They get there by doing certain things. Investors, they get uncomfortable first when they start doing it, but as they invest more, they become comfortable doing it and they feel comfortable continuing to do it. Same thing with everything else. It turns more or less into a habit. You probably guessed it, right? It becomes a thing that you just do, right? What do coders do? They code. What do runners do? They run. What do athletes do? Well, they athlete, right? No, they don't athlete. They do work out. They do things that they enjoy doing. But some people have naturally have set certain abilities to be able to do stuff. Some people is more of, I want to change from where I am currently to where I want to be. And in order to do that, I have to take particular set of actions. When we talk about getting into investing and looking into real estate, is that we have to do certain things. One, of course, we can start looking for real estate. That's going to take a little bit of time to find all the deals. The other one, we're going to have to start thinking about our money and kind of how we're going to do this. Third, we're going to have to start thinking about different strategies and what are the things that I should know should avoid, should do, should not do. There's a lot of shouldn't around that we're going to be doing. But the thing is that whenever you're looking to change from where you are right now to where you want to be, you have to take action. For example, here I am right now recording this for you and for myself as well, right? And if I wanted to, say, be on the beach somewhere, well, I'm going to have to stop doing this and get my gear and get into my car or the plane and walk, and I'm going to have to do certain things. Now, what happens with the haters is because they don't always feel as comfortable with where they are in their life. And as they say, misery loves company. Let me tell you, misery wants you to continue being their company. The moment that you're saying, well, wait a minute, my life is not as perfect, my life is not as great, and there are things that I can do, and I can change things, and I can move about, and I can learn more things, and I can grow, and I can develop, and I can start new things and try new things, some of these folks are going to be petrified. Not because you might not succeed, even though that's what they're going to say to you. They're going to be petrified that you will succeed, that you will move on. And where does that leave them? Misery stays alone because company left. And company is you, in case you're wondering, right? So that's the reason why they do it. Now, most of the time, they will use logic or emotion in order to get you to understand where they're coming from, and they have your best interest at heart. And yes, I actually believe that they do have their best interest at heart, but I also want you to understand that all of us, me included, you included, have one most important person in the world, and that's us. Science has built us that way so that we can actually survive in whatever environment is coming our way. And we're always going to be looking for number one. And remember, number one is us. So for me, if I am a type of person, I'm not into personal development, I'm not into personal finance and trying to figure things out. I'm not, right? Like, I'm fine where I am. I'm comfortable. I may not have the best job. I may not be the happiest, but you know what? I go in and I collect my paycheck every Friday, and it's just enough to afford whatever place that I'm in. And I have this truck thing that I have, and I have my favorite beer, and I watch my football games, and that's great. That's all I know. I don't want it to change. And then I have my best friend who is talking about these crazy things of like, I want more out of life, and I want to move on up, and I would like to travel, and I would like to change my life, and I would like to find opportunities where I can make more money and all these different things. And I start to be like, wait a minute, if you do that, like, who am I gonna watch the games with? Like, what are you talking about, homie? Like, you crazy. What you talking about, Willis? Right? So they will start doing things sometimes knowingly and sometimes subconsciously to actually start bringing you down, to make you doubt yourself. So what do we do with haters? We don't hate them back, right? Don't do that. It's not going to serve any purpose. Just simply, as shared before, don't share all of this stuff. You can test the waters and say, hey, I'm trying new things and may or may not be crazy. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But, here's kind of what I'm thinking. You can test the waters and see how they feel. And if they feel like they're supporting you and saying, you know what, good for you. Like, keep on trying, keep on doing stuff. Win, lose, succeed, fail, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I got your back 100%. That's amazing. You want to keep those people around you. But as you start moving on up and start succeeding in certain things, and you see people that are doubting you, putting you down, making fun of you for that. I mean, right? Like, how many of us have had, I know, for example, like high school, maybe college for you, or maybe even after college, you find a person that you get like very excited about and you've been dating for a while, and like, I'm thinking about getting, moving in together or getting married or whatever. And what did I do? They were like, why would you want to do that? Like, because they feel that they're about to lose their friend. Not that they are not happy necessarily for you, they are just sad for themselves. So similar things happen when we start improving our lives, whether through investing, through personal development, relationships, emotional growth, spiritual growth, whatever it is that is important to you, you will undoubtedly, not doubtedly, undoubtedly find people that are haters. So here's a couple of things to do. One, if this person is important to you for whatever reason, right? Maybe you grew up together, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kid, right? Maybe it's somebody that like saved your life, literally speaking, or somebody that you feel really deep connection with, and they are the hater, which I know potentially is hurtful to say at this moment. Simply don't talk about these topics with them. It's that simple. It's that easy. Keep doing your thing and keep it to yourself. Use the journal, find the people that are similar to what you want to do and similarly aligned, have similar ideas and interests so that you can start building a community around yourself, whether that's through virtual methods or through in-person methods. It doesn't really matter. The second one is that if this person is not as important to your life, you might need to say goodbye to them. Now, I'm not saying write them a Dear John letter, right? I'm not saying, ooh, you hater, so I'm out of here. You don't need to go that drastically into dealing with it. It's simply that as you stop sharing some of the things and you keep going your thing, keep doing your thing, and they keep doing their thing, eventually at some point, your paths will start to separate more and more, where not necessarily that you're no longer friends, it's just that you're not spending as much time with them. I get it. Easier said than done. And I know you're going to come up with 10,000 excuses of why this will never work in your life. But here's the thing. Every successful person that has ever done anything with their life has had to say goodbye to some folks. Some folks were simply just evil spirited, right? I'm sure you've met some of those in your life. Hopefully you don't call them friends, because you've learned by now that they are no longer qualify as somebody to call a friend. But we've all had to grow apart from some folks. And sometimes that happens just because you move and the distance all by itself, or life takes us in different path and different direction. And there are many people in my life that we were friends at one point. I don't consider them enemies, but we just don't spend not even close to time. Some of the people I'm not even in touch with years and years and years later, just because our paths are in different spaces, in different geographical locations. We have different passions, we're enjoying different things. And just when we get together, it's not necessarily that we're evil to each other. We're very civil and we have a good time, but we don't have a lot in common to do or hang out with. And so time is not necessarily as enjoyable. With some people, I still keep in touch and we still have a great time. We may not be aligned on all of the things, and I just don't talk about those things with them. We talk about other stuff that we have in common, that we enjoy, that we're going to continue to build and grow our friendship. So here are the things that hopefully are helping you. How do you deal with some of the people that are going to bring you down? And the simplest thing, again, easier said than done, but you can do it. If so many people before you have done it and they have no special abilities, none of us are born with the special gifts and stuff. I mean, yeah, some of us are a bit more gifted than others, and we have, higher IQ or higher EQ or both or whatever, right? Like we have some obstacles and challenges, and all of us are very unique, just like snowflakes, or as I like to say, just like real estate, we're all unique. We've all had to deal with times dealing with people that are doubting us, that are not supporting us. Now, part that becomes a bit more challenging is if that doubter or unsupporter or hater, depending which word you want to use, ends up being your life partner or your spouse or your parent that you're dependent on, or maybe they're depending on you. That can be a bit more challenging. So if we're talking about spouses and significant others and life partners, I think it's important to start having conversations about the journey and where you want to go together. Because I've seen it too many times where people get together and they start having different aspirations, different goals, different dreams, different things that they want to do, and they start growing apart. And if there's a person that is important to you, I think it's important to bring them along. Now, I'm not saying you need to like force them into it, but to have conversations and explain from your heart and from your mind of why doing something like this is important to you. I hope that this is helpful to you. Until next time, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away. Welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. I am so excited that you're here, and I hope that you're getting some tools, tips, techniques, and excitement about what we're doing here and where we're going to go. We're going to wrap up the mindset part of it today, and starting tomorrow, aka the next episode, we're going to start looking into specific things and start explaining things to you as far as what are these deals, where to find them, how does it work, about the money, the whole 9 yards. That is going to be hopefully something that is going to be helpful to you. And final piece over here, I want to recap some of the stuff that we talked about. We talked about visualization and importance of it. We talked about thinking about how you're going to deal with the haters and how do you bring people that are important to you alongside with your journey. That doesn't mean that they need to do the stuff that you're doing. They just need to understand what you want to do and hopefully are being supportive of you. And if not, you're going to have to make potentially some very tough choices in your life. And I don't envy you, but I've been there. I understand it, and you can do it, is all I'm going to say. We've also talked about taking notes, being an active learner in the whole thing, and then above all, also taking action of the stuff. Now, if you were able to have a conversation with people that are important in your life about the ideas and things that you're thinking about, hopefully these are the things that you have been talking to them about, like, hey, I'm looking for a different way to make money, or start my own business, or start investing, or whatever it is that you want to do, that your significant other is going to be alongside with you. Now, we're going to talk about the mindset and money. We're going to talk about money a little bit later, about how you get and all of that kind of stuff. But we have a very interesting connection with money in our mind, right? And I'm sure if you have ever listened or watched or even read anything by, say, Robert Kiyosaki, for example, that he always talks about like our money mindset, and that he talks about like how do we think about money, and what are the things that we've been taught about money, and right, like the sayings we have about it, like rich are greedy, or poor as dirt, or by the way, some rich are greedy and some are not. Dirt is sometimes really poor and you don't want it, and some dirt is like really amazing and you definitely want it, and it grows some amazing things. We can't afford it, for example, right? I'm never going to be able to pay this debt down. Filthy rich, all kinds of the sayings that we have. I'm sure you have some of those. And if you would entertain me for a moment and help me help you, is I would suggest pausing this, or maybe at the end of this particular session, sit down and jot some of the things that you've been told about money or you believe about money. whether it's that it doesn't come easy and it doesn't grow on trees, or maybe you have a belief that money is dirty somehow, and that's the reason why whenever it comes to your life you spend it as quickly as you can. Or maybe you love money so much that you feel comfortable knowing that, like, I've saved up all this money and I don't want to risk it by investing it. Now, every investment out there has risks. One piece that I want to share with you, that nothing in this video, in the upcoming videos, in the previous videos, or any videos that I make are or should be used as investment advice. They are for educational and entertainment purposes only, to open up your eyes and to get you to start thinking and hopefully inspire you to research and learn more about it. And if you need a financial advisor and planner, then there are certified individuals who are licensed to do that. I am not it. So I just wanted to put that out there as a caveat in case you're thinking, ooh, this guy. No, 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 no. I don't think so. Not doing that. I'm not one of those. I don't do that stuff. So do your own research, do your own thinking, do your own actions. All I share is what are the things out there that exist, what I have done, what I would do, and when I would do, I would actually say that I would do, just in order and in hope to actually get you excited, motivated, educated, inspired to consider things and to start looking at stuff for your own benefit. So when we talk about money, is that sometimes we think that we are a poor money manager, for example, right? And you're like, every time I come in money, I have no clue how much it comes in. I have no clue what goes out. I just know that at the end of my money, there's more month left, right? And what we want is at the end of our month to have more money left. And we want our money to grow. Now, here's the part. If you are, and we have a few different sort of personalities here. And two most prevalent ones is that we have savers and we have spenders. That's right. You probably know which one you are. Now, if you're a saver, you're the type of person that is very risk averse and you like to go and have this comfortable job that is guaranteed, and the money comes in every Friday or every other Friday or on the first or whatever, however you get paid. And then you put your money into your bank account and it goes into savings account and you pay your little, things that you need to do, like groceries and car and housing and that kind of stuff. And then you put stuff into the savings and you just like to look at it and see that this savings number is growing. Nothing wrong with that. That's just your personality. And whenever you have to spend more than what you budgeted and you get very excited about budgets, you get very stressed out. On the other hand, you might be a spender. Whatever money comes in, money goes out. So Friday's a payday, Friday night is a party night, right? So you get paid, you run to the bank, you deposit it in, party up, right? Drinks on me, whatever, because we like to live large. And then Monday comes in, you're like, well, I guess it's going to be beans and rice for the next 4 days because I got to go to work until the money comes in. Again, nothing wrong with it. You have your own life. Now, some of us might be what folks in psychology might call the crazy eight or the infinity sign. And you might be the type of person that just goes and you get paid and you save up, save up, save up, save up, and you're like, woohoo, look at all this money. And then you go bananas wild and you start spending. You're like, vacation, drinks on me, dinners, cars, shoes, suits. And then you go down and you're like, oh crap, I don't have any money. I can't do anything. And then you go save, 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 save. And then when you come save, then you go right back down into the spending. So that's why we call it the crazy eight, because you swing from one side to the other, one side to the other. And it's important to understand which one of these personalities you are. The fourth personality, not as prevalent, but it still exists, are the people that are saying, my health and the world are the only things important to me. And money is useless. I don't like it. I don't care about it. And guess what? You likely don't have a whole lot of it either. Because you simply just don't even acknowledge that it exists, and it does have some level of importance in our lives. Now, I do want to say one thing. More money does not equal more happiness. We can all agree to that. You can put it down in your little book as a myth that you've heard, or a fact that you heard, or belief that you have. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. Happiness is happiness. Money is money. I can be happy poor. I can be happy rich. I can't buy happiness whether I have money or not. I can't buy health, although you can buy really good health insurance and health providers with more money. So money allows us to become more of who we are anyways. So if you are a nasty, greedy, horrible person, then I actually kind of secretly hope, and maybe it's not so secret since I'm saying it out loud, that you go away. We don't want you, okay? But most people are actually really good-hearted, really giving, really caring individuals who want to help everybody around them. And in order to be able to help others around you, like your friends, your family, whatever, right? You kind of need some money for it. And in today's environment, when inflation is going bananas crazy, you actually need more of it, and it needs to grow at a faster pace than the inflation, right? So, a couple of things. You might have some fears about money. Like, for example, this is not always comfortable for me to talk about, but it is the truth. So, I think it's important to share. For me, for the longest time, I had a fear that if I was to come to more money, that I would turn into a person that might not be as nice, or person that drinks more. Growing up, my dad, who was an amazing guy to begin with, but was starting to basically start making more income. But I think there were a lot of other things in his life. Again, I was a kid, so I can only speak from the kid's viewpoint, and that is processing as an adult now. Uh, I think there were other pressures in his life, or things that maybe he didn't feel satisfied or adequate about. And unfortunately, as an adult, I don't have an opportunity to talk to him about it, because he passed away not that long ago. Uh, but when he started to come into it, he really was, I think, petrified of losing it all. He grew up in a very large family. He was born just slightly before World War II hit, growing up in Europe, occupied country, right? So we're talking about growing up in a family that had little to no education, little to no resources, being petrified and scared of your life all the time, having to come up with an amazing human skills to survive, even as a young kid. And those things leave deep rooted things in our psyche. As he was becoming an adult and having a job and kind of moving on up and started to make decent money, we were never to like, ooh, we're well off, but decent, especially if you've grown up so poor that you had to share bed with siblings. Having a house on your own with your spouse and kids is a huge improvement. Can we agree to that? So as he was kind of getting to that and having some money and actually having some savings and slowly approaching retirement, he started to, I think, have a lot of challenges and potentially nightmares, and was turning into not the person that I would have enjoyed or have enjoyed to have always encountered. And it is what it is, and it was what it was. But for a very long time, I believe that I too, because of my lived experience, my growing up experience, that if I was to ever come to money, that I would become this person that like starts fights and yell at people and drink a bit too much at times. And when I drink too much at times, that I would be right, like a nasty person to people that should matter the most to me in my life. And for that reason, I struggled a lot for a very long period of time, to be able to accumulate, because whatever money came my way, subconsciously, I was throwing it out there, because I had a fear that if I had income, that if I had means, that I had savings, that if I had assets, that if I had money or some sort of wealth whatsoever, that I would turn into a person that I didn't want to be, right? I didn't like how I was treated when that happened. And so I didn't want to become that person. But as I was doing my own personal development and my own financial development and education, I realized that that's not really it, right? It's okay to be aware of it, but it doesn't mean that you will be. If you're not going to be that person, if you don't want to become something, you're never going to be that. I find myself that I am more giving, more caring human because of everything I had happen in my life, and that I'm able to actually do more because of certain levels of wealth that I was able to achieve. For example, doing something like this, where I don't have to record these videos, I don't have to do this stuff, I don't have to offer it for free, but I do it because I know that it can help some people. For some people, you're going to watch this and be like, this guy's crazy, I'm out. That's cool. I'm not everybody's cup of tea or coffee for that matter. And I'm fine with that. But there's going to be people that are going to watch this, they're going to listen to this, and they're going to say, this is very helpful to me, and I want to actually improve my life. And if I can find one human that I can help with or assist, I am happy. And the reason I'm able to do this, all of this, is because I've come to peace with myself that no matter whether I am dirt poor or fabulously rich, I am me. I just happen to be more of me, as in loving, caring, gifting kind of person, when I have more money and more wealth. Why? Because I shift from survival to thrival. And when we are surviving, which trust me, I have been on this side of the house when I'm actually just surviving, we are trying to figure out a way of, where's my next meal going to come from? Where am I going to sleep tonight? Am I going to be warm enough? Is it going to be like too cold or too windy or too rainy or whatever tonight? And, how am I going to manage through that? Right? So that's the survival method. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are just basically trying to get to the next day, right? If you come to the point where you're thriving, which is this side over here, that's where you start thinking about Maslow's, right? Like higher pieces of the pyramid, like self-actualization. Well, I realized, self-actualized, that I enjoy teaching people and helping people. And when I was in a survival mode, like I can't figure out how the heck am I going to like eat today. I can't help anybody else because I'm trying to figure out how the hell do I help myself, right? But if I'm in a position where I'm okay, I have a place to stay, I have an income coming in, I have assets that are doing fine, I have food to eat, I am warm, I'm comfortable, my family's taken care of, now I can focus on who do I want to become when I grow up. That makes sense? Right? So maybe you are in the survival piece and the goal is to get you into the thrival. Maybe you're somewhere in between. You're like, I'm not quite surviving, but I'm not quite thriving either. And that's fine too, right? So I think it's important to acknowledge which side of the house we're on, and to also not have a fear that when you come to this side that you might become something that you're afraid of, because if this is what you're afraid of, you will never get there. Subconsciously your brain is going to prohibit you from going there. This, I think, is the most important lesson ever in this whole series, is to understand what your relationship and beliefs around money are. Okay. Now, here's a couple of things that have helped me in my process. Now, this is not an overnight thing. This is not watch a video or listen to a show for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, once and I am done. This is an ongoing battle that you will have for the rest of your life. Money problems never go away. Just acknowledge it. It just is. It's like food, right? I can't eat today and be like, I don't have to eat for the whole year because I ate today. It doesn't work that way, right? Like I ate today, I might have to eat again today, and then again today, and then tomorrow, right? Same thing. Just like sleep. It's not like, oh, I slept yesterday, so I don't have to sleep for a month. No, I have to sleep tonight and tomorrow night, and right? Uh, So baiting, probably the same thing. Although for some people it might be questionable. They were like, well, I took a bath in 2001. I'm good to 2023. So, but all kidding aside, right? There are certain things that just sort of are. Money problems are a thing. You will either have money problems like not enough money, or you will have money problems of too much money. And there's also one piece to keep in mind is that just because you are today in the problem of I don't have enough money doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be I have too much money, right? And that you will stay in either one of those. It's very fluid and flexible. You can go from I don't have any money and that's my problem. You figure out a way, you make some money, you come to the problem of I have too much money, I don't know what to do with it. And then certain economic things happen or things happen in your life where you go from I have too much money, I don't know what to do with it, down to I don't have enough money. Example, let's take somebody, a sports figure. Athletes are probably epitome of what I'm talking about here. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them will grow up in households that are maybe not as best off as possible. Maybe some of them are similar in a situation that my dad grew up with, hopefully minus the war piece. And they will go into the point where they end up become professional, say basketball player, where they're earning millions of dollars a year. They don't know how to handle the money that is coming in their way. They have a too much money problem, but they're not realizing that it's too much money problem, and they're also not realizing that after that something else comes along. So they have too much money, too much money, too much money. They're, dinners, girls, cars, travel, drugs, maybe even. I don't know. I'm not saying they are. But again, right? You understand all kinds of random things. And then what happens is that you hear it that so many of them just go back from all of that down to I don't have enough. I have another sort of money problem. And what I'm saying is those things are very fluid. Similar, another great example would be people that win a lottery, right? You play a lotto, all of a sudden you get like, you win the mega millions. Now you have like 100 millions. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, no, no, not me, Nav. I know exactly what I would do. Well, all of them say that. Come on, guys. Everybody says that. Uh, and so now you win, hundreds of millions of dollars and you go bananas, right? And then what do? At the end, the money eventually kind of runs out because, again, we're not taught exactly what to do with our money or how to behave. We don't spend enough time thinking about our relationship with money. All of those things play a big part. And so not only do they lose everything they gained, believe it or not, they often end up being financially worse off at the end of the whole thing than they were before. And so, for all of those reasons, I think it's important for us to understand what relationship do we have with money? What beliefs do we have around it? What beliefs do we want to have about money? What relationship do we want to have with our money? And also to understand that, maybe I wasn't taught how to actually deal with money. Because here's another example. This is more recent that I think is going to affect way more people. 2020, 2021. It just happened, right? So it should be fairly easy to remember, recall in your memory. What did we have, at least in US, but I think most of the world had it as well? We called a thing called stimmies. That's right. Government sent us all this money. Now, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but for some people, it was a plenty, plenty, plenty amount of money. Now, with people coming in with money, what happened is that money would come in and people, we've seen people starting to trade like crazy. We've seen people start to buy like crazy, like shopping was out of this world. They were ordering things, putting in the new, wheels on their cars and new sound systems and new kicks and whatever, right? Was coming in. And then the stimmies kind of went away and we went from, high borrowing, right? We were on the high borrowing component. And then stimulus came in and we went to like borrowing, right? Like people in debt was like really, really low. And the savings were really, really high. And now we're like coming back where the debt is actually higher than we were prior to the stimmies and saving was actually even lower. And that's nationwide and I would argue worldwide. Now, Yes, I would say that part of it also has to do with the inflation and so on. But for the vast majority of people, they didn't know how to handle having more money. I'm going to use myself an example as well to really drive home the point here, what I'm trying to say. When I started my first job, my first ever job out of college, I was making $20,000 a year. Now, because I was a student and I was trying to figure out how the heck do I live off of like $1 a month, $20,000 was like huge amount of money. If you were to ask me, I mean, I would have thought that I was a multi-billionaire 10 times over. It was only 20 grand. I mean, right? Like, let's put things into perspective. I'm not trying to play it down. I wouldn't complain if somebody sent me 20 grand, out of random to say thanks, as I'm sure you wouldn't either. However, to me, that was like world. It was life changing. But what happened pretty soon? Pretty soon, I adjusted to that level of income and my desires went on up. So the very next job I got was 20, or actually we got a raise a year or 2 years later, something like that. It was $28,000. Now that was a pretty big jump, but because I already adjusted to the 20 and I was anticipating this 28, I started to spend as if I was having 28. As I moved on up in a career, I started to make more money. But the problem is that my expenses were keeping up with my income. Do you see a problem? Do you recognize the story as well? To the point where I came to some level where I was making 40,000, so twice as much, but I was broker at 40 than I was at 20. That's highly problematic. And that's what we see a lot happening with folks, that when we start making more money, we start spending even more than we should. So the tricky part is A, acknowledge and understand the relationship with money that you have and you want to have, the beliefs about money that you have and you want to have. And if you are actively learning, you're writing this down because aka this is homework, hint hint. So, anyways, the next piece is the income that you're earning. You also want to think through of how do I continue to grow my income and keep my expenses steady. Ah, tricky, tricky. See, if you like me by now, you probably don't like me now. And I will tell you, you're not going to like me a whole lot in the next episodes that we talk about because I will speak the truth. It might be my truth. And if you are getting upset, it might be your truth as well. But we are not very good about keeping our expenses to a steady level while increasing our income. We typically increase our income and expense level in parallel, and often some of us, not everybody, but some of us increase our expenses at a much higher rate than we increase our income. As time goes on, do you see a difference? Down here, right, at the beginning of the time, it's fine, it's manageable because it's matching. As time progresses, we find ourselves having way more debt and more expenses than our income can meet. And that is how and why we go from not enough money, too much money, back to not enough money. That's how we find ourselves swinging between side to side and having challenges. That's one of the reasons. Other reasons could be that maybe you had a business and you lost the business, or economic shift came and took things away. You were, say, in a publicly traded company and you had a bunch of shares that were valued $1,000 a share. Now they're valued at $1 a share. And all of a sudden you went from multi-billionaire to like, I don't know, thousand year. Is that a thing? Do you call that? I don't know. But you understand what I'm saying. So part of the challenge is coming up with strategies and ways to really set yourself up. Now, I know that the goal of increasing our income is so that we can afford a better life. The challenge is that if I spend 80% of my income at $20,000 and 80% of income at $100,000, I only have 20% to save up for investments for all these different things, right? So that's sort of the challenge. But if I can keep say that my spending when I was earning $20,000 was $15,000 a year, and I'm earning $100,000 a year today, and I can still keep my expenses at 15,000, or maybe because of inflation and everything else, it's like 25 or 30. Now I'm able to save 70% of my income, which means I am able to grow my wealth at a much faster pace. That's the reason why I'm saying focus on keeping your expenses as steady as possible and even potentially drive them down. And we're going to talk more about money in the next episodes, I promise. But that's kind of the thing to start thinking about and jotting things down. Jotting things down of how do I feel about that? Can I do that or not? Right? Some people are saying, sorry, I can't do this, I'm out. And that's okay. I think it's just being honest with yourself. I'm never gonna see what you have to say. You don't have to show it to anybody else, but I think you need to know what your thoughts are and feelings are about that. Because if you are a type of person saying like never gonna happen, I'm never gonna do that, like if my income goes up, I'm going to go and spend more. Fine. That's cool. No problem, right? Like we all have a life to live and that's fine. The other piece is to also think about is that if you are a spender, constantly a spender, and you're wondering like why I don't have money, that's part of your problem. You need to acknowledge that and come up with ways of how to deal with it. Maybe curbing down of what you're doing and how you're behaving around it. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are the reasons for it? If you're the saver, you are probably risk averse and you're thinking like, well, the money in a bank account is safe and I'm comfortable. I want you to think about a couple of things. One, the money in that savings account is earning maybe, if you're lucky, 0.1% of interest. However, inflation, as of right now, at the day that we are recording the video and recording this particular session, inflation is between 7.4 and 15.2%. That means that you're losing roughly anywhere between 7 to 15% per year by having your money into the savings account. That means you're losing on your purchasing power. That's just the same as if you were to go out to spend it. At least the person spending it all is having a good old time. You're not even having a good time, and you're still going to end up not having as much purchasing power as you have. So that's number one. Number two to keep in mind is while FDIC insurance is a thing, there's also a lot of proof out there that says that FDIC insurance could not cover everybody's $250,000 in the US. I know in Europe it's different and around the world it's different, but that piece does not actually guarantee it or cover it. So you're not as safe as you think you are. So hopefully this is helpful to you. I know this was a much longer session than before, but I hope that we've covered a lot of things that hopefully made you laugh a little bit, acknowledge some of the things about yourself, and I hope that you will spend time jotting down some of the things that we talked about. Your beliefs, what you want them to be, your relationship, what you want it to be, what kind of person you are around money, what are the fears, what are the benefits, what do you want. All these things are important to understand and acknowledge, and above all, also to look at as your income goes up. Are you going to be able to be disciplined enough to keep it the same as it is now? So thank you for watching. If you've learned anything whatsoever in this, we're enjoying it, you find it at least, helpful, inspirational, funny, whatever, make sure you do me a huge favor. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified when the next video comes up, because we're going to move on from the mindset on to the money, which we already started to talk about. Until then, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.
Hi, my name is Sonia Price, and I am one of Nev's coaching clients. He actually is financially free. He's actually doing it, and he's paving the way for people like you and me to be able to do that. And when I talk to Nev, I am always floored by the amount of knowledge that this man holds in his head and is willing to graciously share. This man walks his talk. He actually even lived in a shed for a short period of time in his life before he got to where he is now. Take the knowledge, take the information, take the advice, take the coaching to become hugely, massively successful in this world. To Nev, you've helped me immensely, and I know that you're going to help millions and millions of people get where they want to go in life as well. Thank you.
And welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. I'm your host, Nev. If this is a brand new thing to you and I'm a brand new guy to you, make sure you check out previous episodes that are leading to this one. We've spent a lot of time talking about mindset and getting ourselves ready for what we are about to get into, and that is conversation about money. Now, this might get a little bit uncomfortable, and as we progress, we might be going through talking about your money, talking about your wealth, talking about your goals, where you are right now, where do you want to be, and how do we get you from wherever it is that you are to wherever it is that you want to be. So this is going to take a little bit of time, take a little bit of pen and paper. We've talked about all of those different things, but now it's an important thing to start focusing on money. Now, in order to invest, you need money. Now, it doesn't have to be your money, but you will need to have money to purchase some of these properties. Now, again, we talked about it previously that when we're talking about these properties, we're not necessarily talking about you having to spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, although you can, but it is going to take at least a few hundred, most likely a few thousand to few tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if you are looking at your wallet right now and going, Nev, you've lost your mind, dude. I have $2 in my bank account. We're going to need to talk about how do we get you to the point where you actually have some cash in order to participate in these deals. Now, in the upcoming episodes, I'm going to guide you through and show you where you can find these deals and kind of how to evaluate them and give you a bit of guidance on what can help you to actually get into property investing. So, as you know, real estate, now you could potentially get it from a rich uncle, and that's how you become an owner. Maybe you are in some sort of lease agreement like rent to buy. But for most of us, we're going to have some cash to buy it. And even if you are buying through traditional methods where you put in a small portion down and then you finance the rest of it, you're still going to need to have some money to do that. Now, this particular program, we're not going to be dealing with any agents. We're not going to be looking at houses on Zillow. Well, we might be doing it for the valuation reasons, but that's not where we're going to find them or buy them. Your realtor or broker is not going to know about these. Some of them might, but most of them will not, because this is not going to require anybody else. It's going to require you, a computer of some sort. A phone is fine as well if you want to, a tablet, but a regular old computer will do it. It's going to require internet access. It's going to require a little bit of the mindset, which is why we spent a little bit of time talking about it, and it's going to require some money. When you purchase these deals, you're not going to be putting down a down payment on it. You're actually going to be buying it all cash. Now, if that's scary to you and you're like, nope, I'm out, that's fine. See you later. But if you're not scared by this whole notion, then listen up. This is what is going to happen. So you're going to have some cash. Now, say that you have $10,000. Obviously, when you go into the auction, you're going to look for the deals that are going to be $10,000 and less. You're going to need some money for the bank transfers. You're going to need some money for registration. So you make sure that you account for that. So you're going to be bidding on the less than the amount that you have in a bank. Now, if you're not comfortable putting the whole $10,000 in it, come up with the amount of money that you are comfortable putting in these deals. I don't know what that is. That might be 5% of everything you have, 100%, and anywhere in between. So that's something that you need to uncover is what are you comfortable to put into these deals. Now, let's talk about what happens if you don't have any money to start. First thing first is, as we mentioned, you're going to need to have some cash. So let's talk about how you get into some cash. There are likely some things that you're spending your money on, and I'm presuming here, I'm making some assumptions. Again, I don't know you. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know where you're watching. I don't know how much money you have. But I'm going to assume that you are making some sort of income, whether that is that you have a job or you have some side gigs or you have a business, or you have some money from investments, or maybe you have all of that stuff. And for most of us, for most of Americans, whatever we make and bring in from our income producing activities, we likely spend sometimes well before the end of the month, the end of the pay period. And that's highly problematic. So, first thing first is you need to understand what are you bringing in, what are you spending out, and what are you keeping? What is the difference that you're putting aside? If that's zero or negative, you're going to do a lot of work in order to change that because you need to start putting some cash aside in order to participate in these investments. Now, if you already are actually in the positive, that's great and good for you. You're going to start stashing that cash or stashing it in some sort of other investment. Just make sure that it's liquid and that it's not too volatile, which may or may not become a problem. Now, again, your time horizon is going to be very important here. If you are thinking of, great, I'm going to watch these videos and I'm going to implement this the very next month, then yes, you want to sit in on cash. If you're saying, I'm going to do this 5 years from now, then you can get into stocks and crypto, for example. And I'm not recommending them, but I'm just saying you can invest the money in higher risk assets in order to accumulate more money so that you can then take portion of that and be able to apply it and purchase these properties. So number one is, do you have any cash? Number two is, what is your cash flow? Is it positive? Is it negative? If it is negative, it means you're spending more than you're earning, and you need to start A, increasing your income, and B, lowering your expenses. Typically, lowering your expenses is a much easier thing to do, and I recommend trying to do both. Now, for the lowering of the expenses, you're going to look into where's your money going. If you don't know, you're going to need to spend about a month plus minus to track where's your money going. What are you spending your money on? Is it the rent, the food, the car, the insurance, gyms, going out, drinks, eating out, shopping? I don't know what you're doing, but you're going to need to look at all of that stuff and look at what is important to you long term as opposed to what just is satisfying you in the moment. Now, I understand the whole satisfying in the moment piece. I get it completely. I've been there. I've done that where I've spent way more money and I had way more month left at the end of it. And I needed to take a very hard look. Now, one of the pieces that helped me with it is that I was tracking and starting to track where my money was going because I didn't even know it. If somebody was to ask me, Nev, what did you spend all of your money on? I couldn't really explain it. I could come up with some of the larger expenses like, oh, I needed to replace my windshield, or oh, I needed to change oil in my car, or I had to pay for a car insurance. But I couldn't explain all these small expenses that were accumulating over time. For me, it was subscriptions to different channels, to different magazines, and all of those things. I decided that I didn't want to continue doing that, so I cut it. I removed magazine subscriptions. I removed all of these different subscriptions to things that I didn't necessarily benefit from. I eliminated cable and TV. So now I was actually whatever money was going to those places, I was actually stashing it aside and building my little investment fund. So first thing first is you want to build your investment fund. The other side you can also do is, way back when I was doing that, the gig economy wasn't really a thing. YouTube was existing, but it wasn't really a thing. And so now you might look into and saying, all right, I have an income that is coming from my job, for example. Maybe I need to get into some sort of gigs and side hustles in order to make some money, or maybe I need to invest and make some money. And then whatever I can, I was pushing as much of it as possible into this investment account. Now, if you need help with planning, how do I actually go from, as I like to call it, money stressed to money blessed? And yes, money blessed life. So I figure I share the whole thing because I get it. I absolutely get it. Then I invite you to come and check out onedealaway.com course called Money EMT. It's a money emergency for real. And if you want to join in, there is a link below, as well as a special code you can put in to get super amazing deal on it. So definitely make sure you check that out. It's not mandatory by no means. There's a lot of different books, a lot of different videos for you to look and read and watch and pay attention to. And just simply a sheer focus is going to likely help you out. But if you are interested in going along that route, please make sure you do that. And I'm very excited if you decide to do that stuff, because it's going to help you create these different pockets of money, if you would, that are going to assist you in your investment. So that's number one. We gotta work on creating pool of money that we are going to be able to invest. So you're going to focus on trying to reduce your expenses if you can. And I'm not saying this is going to be for a lifetime. I'm just saying this is going to be for a time in life in order to get your life back on track, if it is that you want to actually change things around. Because here's the thing that you need to pay attention to and watch out for. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you want to change certain things in life, you're going to have to start taking action and making those changes. It's not going to be always easy. It's not always going to be comfortable. And you're not always going to have people that are supporting you. But we've talked about the mindset, and we started with that for a very reason. And this is the reason why. You're going to get into doing some stuff that you're not always comfortable with. And it's important for you to start working on it if this is important to you. And you're going to know if it's important if you're looking at it and saying, you know, I don't think so. I'm enjoying this way too much. Then great. It's not for you. This is not for everybody. But if you're saying, you know what, I know I can do better. I know that I am actually meant to do something more with my life, to be able to create the lifestyle that I want. So that's going to require a little bit of sacrifice at the beginning, and things are going to get much easier as we progress. So something for you to pay attention to. So this is the first task for you. Homework number one in this part of the series. And you can actually pause this if you want to. You can watch the whole thing and then do it and get yourself ready. There's really no timeline for it, but I do recommend that you step into it right now, right this second, at the end of this particular video, and start working on it. What do you bring in? What's your income? What do you take out? What are your expenses, and where exactly are you spending that money on? And are you actually keeping any money for yourself? If you're not, you're going to have to make some changes. If you are, but you don't think it's enough, you're going to need to make some changes. And if you're bringing enough money and you're not spending a whole lot, and you've put some money aside and you're building that investment fund, or you already have it, then I will see you in the next video. welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. My name is Nev, in case we've never met before, and I am excited that you are here. If you haven't watched any of the previous episodes when we started and talked about the mindset and started the conversation about money, I highly encourage you to go and watch those first, and then come back to this one and let's catch up. Now, we've talked about the importance of having investment fund. And again, that was done in a previous episode. So make sure you watch that. I've actually added a link right below here so that you can go and watch it. It is the step number one. In this particular video, I'm going to make an assumption that you're working on your investment fund, or you already have it and you're ready to start taking next steps. Now, the next steps is to start thinking about this investment component. And don't worry, I will show you how we evaluate and do some of the work with that in the upcoming video. So this is a whole series of what we're doing and getting ourselves from not knowing anything about how do we get real estate on the cheap to being pretty darn good at understanding and knowing steps we need to take, where we need to go, and what do we need to do to be successful in this venture. So if you're ready, let's get started. Now, the assumption is, as I mentioned, is that you have some investment funds already set up and that you're actively working on it if you don't. Now, the deal with these properties, let me explain what they are, because at this moment you're like, this is all great, but what the heck are these things and can I really trust it? So as you know, as a property owner, we all have to pay certain bills. I know you're thinking like internet. No, that's not the bill I'm talking about. I'm talking a thing called taxes. We have to pay property taxes because if we don't, the government can basically find us in default and repossess our property. This is how these deals are created. Now, we have a few different deals that exist within this realm. They're known as tax liens, tax deeds, and what I like to call mutants, which is basically a combination of a lien that kind of turns into a deed. Let me explain the differences between the three. Now, the third one is obviously a combination of it, so I guess I'm explaining the differences between the two. Tax liens exist in certain states. Now, all of the states, all of the 50 states, well over 3,000 counties that exist in the United States, and most of Canada actually does this, and I believe that most of the developed world does this as well, but I haven't dealt in the other countries, so I can speak for US specific only. If you're coming from another place and you're looking to invest in your own country or different countries, then make sure you do your own due diligence and research of how that works in that particular space. We're going to be focusing on US. So there's over 3,000 counties in United States, 50 states, as you know, and each one of them has their own things of what they're doing. Some of the states is a statewide component of what they do. In some states, it's county by county. So in certain counties, we're going to go and down focus on counties now. In certain counties, they focus on what is known as tax liens. So if a property owner does not pay the taxes owed for that particular year after a set period of time, and it varies from state to state, from county to county, the property and the property owner are going to be in default, meaning that whatever they owe for those taxes is going to be sold at an auction. What happens is that in tax lien states, they take basically the amount that you own, they create a lien on the property, and they sell it for a particular investor return. So they will say, all right, the property owner A owes $5,000 on such property, and we're going to start bidding at 10%. So if you purchase this tax lien for $5,000, you will earn 10% every single year that the property owner does not pay. When they decide to pay, or when they're looking to sell a house, in order to sell it, there's a lien on it. So in order for it to sell, the lien has to be satisfied, meaning you, as the lien holder, tax lien holder, you need to be paid. So not only will you get your $5,000 back, but you will also get 10% of that money if that's what it was sold at, and it's also going to come back with some of the penalties and some of the other components. So you are looking to make a nice spread on your money, nice return on your money. Now these range from county to county, from auction to auction, and not everything is 10%. In some areas, there are people that will go in and invest in tax liens, and they will go in and obtain them for as little as 1, 2, 3%. That works for them. In some of the other areas, you will notice that the return on that investment can be as high as 24%, which is really, really good on it. Now, the interesting piece that also exists with the tax liens is that when you get into a tax lien, you want to make sure that whatever the lien is, that the property value is higher than that. Then most of the times it is, because most of the time our taxes are way less than the value of the property. That's the tax liens, and it's a great way to get into it if you're looking for basically a return, a solid return on the investment, but you're not looking to potentially own a property. So it's a nice sort of passive way to get paid on it. Now, the part that is really weird about it is you don't know when you're going to get paid. You could get paid, I don't know, 2 months from now. You could get paid 2 years from now. Most of the locales also offer that if there's a certain number of liens, so you can go and buy like a lien every single year. So say that the property owner A didn't pay a lien for 5 years. When they go and sell it, every year you can go in and buy the lien, buy the lien, buy the lien, buy the lien. And some of the counties, some of the states will also then allow that whoever is a lien holder, after a set period of time, they have a right, not an obligation, but a right to foreclose on the property owner, meaning that you can file a suit with the government and take over the property. That means that you can legally get into whatever the property is for pennies on the dollar. Of course, if the owner pays, now you get your money back plus the interest earned. Great way to make some money. Most people don't know about it. The second one is known as tax deeds. And this is very cool if you're looking to actually own the property right from the get-go. So some of them deal with liens, and we talked about that briefly. Some of them deal with deeds. And what they will do is say property owner A didn't pay their taxes after a set period of time. They will actually go and put it on auction, and the government will give you a deed to the property, meaning you will own it free and clear. Sorry about that. And you will be able to do whatever it is that you want to do with it. Typically, when we talk about the liens and the deeds difference, is that liens typically focus on the return on money, and very seldom, although it's possible, but very seldom do you become a property owner. They also typically tend to start at a much lower prices. So they can start sometimes for as low as like 50 or $100, and they can obviously go up into the thousands. When we talk about the deeds, the tax deeds, also sometimes known as sheriff deeds or tax foreclosure deeds or that kind of stuff, then in those instances, they will start on the low end. I've seen it quite a few years back, would start at a few $100, typically is few $1,000 and up. So you can expect to find, when you go out and look for it, for the liens, you can expect for a few $100 to be able to actually get some sort of lien, and you sit on it, and it's sort of like a bank in your drawer that just sits there and waits for the money to be collected. Or if they don't pay up, in that case, after the set period, you can foreclose on the property and become an owner of the said place. With the deeds, it's going to take a few $1,000. Sometimes you can get it for a few hundred. It's not very common. Typically, you need a few $1,000. And more commonly, we're seeing for some of the higher priced properties, you may need a few tens of thousands of dollars. So it might be 10, 20, $30,000. But when you buy it, that's not a down payment. You actually buy it for that sum of money. The piece to make note of is that when we deal with these, you will have to have cash to close, cash to finalize the process. So It's not a down payment. So you can't say, oh, I'm going to go for a tax deed of $30,000 and I'm going to put like $3,000 and then finance the rest of it. You might be able to do that by getting a loan from a private investor, from friends, family, strangers, neighbors, from the bank or whatever. So you can do it that way. But when it comes to actually purchasing it from the government, you will need to give them a full-blown cash. Most of the time, this money is going to be through a bank transfer or the cashier's check. So you're not going to be delivering like cash. It's not going to like in the movies where you carry a suitcase, strapped to your wrist. It's going to be done through the bank or the bank's or the cashier check in order to pay for it. So it's going to need full sum of money, and you need to know that before you actually go and bid for it. Finally, when we talk about mutants, mutants are sort of interesting, and Texas actually comes to mind when we think about these. Now, for the liens, typically Arizona comes to mind. I don't know why, but it just does for me, maybe because I live there. When we talk about the deeds, California is an example of the deed state. When we look at the mutants, Texas actually comes to mind. Now, mutants are very interesting because when you get it as a lien. After a set period of time, you then can convert that lien, converts automatically into the deed, and then you become the property owner. And on top of that, you're actually making really ridiculous returns on the money. Now that we understand what these different deals are, in the next episode, we're going to be focusing a bit more on where to find some of these deals. And we're also going to be talking about how to think about this and turning it into something like a business if that is what you want. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you hit bell notification, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Don't wait for life's happenstances to happen until you really wish you got all painted back in a corner and you wish you had financial freedom. Don't wait. I really thought I kind of knew everything, and I do have a pretty good grasp, but it was really nice to kind of have someone to hold my hand and walk me through.
In the last episode, we explained what these deals are and how they exist. In this episode, we're going to be focusing on where you can find these deals and get yourself ready for these auctions. Most of these properties are sold at auctions, and it's important for you to know that. Some of the auctions are going to be online. Some of them are going to be over phone, some of them are going to be in person, and some of them are going to be mail in, meaning you are going to write your bid on a particular property and then lick and seal that envelope and ship it off to the county. all of that stuff, the time is of the essence. And typically, when they post what deals they will have, they will also tell you when the auction is going to take place and how you can participate in it. Make sure you pay attention to that. So, first thing first, where and how do we find these? We've talked about the fact that there's well over 3,000 different counties in United States. So what you want to do is focus on the state that you're interested in and look at the different counties they have. Once you find a county that you're interested in, you're going to go and look for what is known as tax assessor. And the tax assessor, they're typically places where you can actually give them a call, you can send them an email, or most of the counties by now, somewhere on the tax assessor place, have the properties that are up for sale. Some of them might say that they are going to post it in a particular newspaper or a particular website, or they're going to post it on their own website when they're ready to go through it. But that is one of the great ways to look through and see what is coming up and be able to obtain the list from the county. Now, to think about this potentially from the business, because we're still focusing on the money components of it, is that we've talked about how do we actually put some money aside for investment to do this. We talked about different strategies that exist within it. Now it's time to start talking about and thinking about it if it is something that you are wanting to do as a business. Now, a lot of people will go out to these auctions and they will bid on the properties. There are different methodologies of bidding. It can go anywhere from the blind bid, meaning I mail in my bid, you mail in yours. I don't know what you bid, you don't know what I bid, and then the county is going to open it all up and select the highest price or the lowest interest that we're willing to accept. When we talk about the tax liens, again, it's going to be different. Different states are going to do different things. In some of the areas, when we're bidding, the bidding starts at the top of the return on your investment. So if their top is, say, 12%, then we're bidding down, and I'm going to bid 10, you're going to bid 9, I'm going to bid 8, and we're going to come down to the point where whoever is willing to take the lowest return on their money wins that particular bid. Then they put in whatever money is needed, and that's what they will receive. So if you went out there and bid on $1,000 tax lien at 5%, you'll pay $1,000 and you can expect to receive 5% on an annual basis, or however they calculate it. They will explain that in it. The other option is to bid on the price we're willing to pay. This is typical when we're dealing with tax deeds, but it's not unusual to hear about it when we're talking about tax liens as well. Oh, here's how it goes. The county will assess of what is being owed, whatever the fees are, whatever the back charges that they have, or whatever else they have, and they will come up with the sum of money. They will put that as a starting bid. Now, if you're the only bidder out there, then you can go in and get it for the starting bid. More often than not, properties that are very valuable, that are very popular, and in really good locations may get bid up. And you could see, and don't be surprised to see, that it could start as something like $5,000, but it sells for like $60,000. Now, of course, if you're doing that, you want to make sure that you pay attention to, is the property valued at whatever the bidding price is. So if the property value is $50,000, I don't know if it makes sense that you pay $60,000 unless there's some sort of business reason for it. Maybe the property value is not really high, but maybe you own everything else around it. And so this is the key component for you to build up a resort, and paying extra 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 is of little impact to you because you are looking to expand on your process and you're going to make way more money on it. So again, what you may think doesn't make sense might make perfect sense for somebody. You just need to have a business reason as to why you may or may not decide to bid on. Most of the time, the reason we will stop bidding is because we run out of money. So you also want to make sure that when you get these lists and you're looking at it, you also consider what is the maximum money that you are willing and able to pay towards these deals, because that's going to drive your strategy as well as what properties you can buy. Meaning, if I'm only willing and able to spend, say, $10,000, and there are properties that start at $20,000, I'm not even going to look at those properties because the price is not going to go down. It's going to stay the same or go up. So it doesn't make sense for me to spend any time or any energy on looking at a property I'm never going to be able to invest in. I'm going to look at the deals that are $10,000 and less. And then, of course, start evaluating those deals to make sure that the value is there for me and for my particular strategy. When we think about this as a business, many individuals might go out, and we're going to be focusing a little bit more on deeds on this one because it's a bit easier, I would think, although some of the things are possible with liens as well. So the goal of any business is to be able to obtain things at a lower price than they're selling it at. So for example, if you are selling, say, toasters on Amazon, the goal is that if you're selling that toaster for $20 on Amazon, that you take out the expenses of listing and processing the cards and all of shipping and everything else. And then if you can get the toaster for way underneath it, meaning you keep the difference, then it makes sense. Very similar with these deals. You buy a house that, say, you spent $5,000, and if you can sell it to somebody for, say, $10,000, you pocket $5,000 minus if there's any expenses such as credit card processing fees or the deed transfer fees or taxes that you need to pay and so on. So that's how the concept works. And here is a very cool way to think about this as a business, not just as an investment strategy, but as a business strategy. Many individuals start this way and stay in it. I know that I've done quite a few of these in my time, and I absolutely loved it. I changed some of the trajectories on what I was doing, but every so often when I find a really good deal, I can't help myself and I jump in it and play around with it. So the way to start is that if you don't have a whole lot of money, is to start finding the best possible deal for your money that you can buy. So you would go in and obtain, say, one property at $2,000. Say that $2,000 is all you have, and you obtain one property for $2,000. Now, the goal for you is going to be able to flip it, meaning sell it as quickly as possible for more than $2,000. Now, hopefully you have done a good homework and research, and this property is valued, say, at $15,000 assessed value. So $2,000 is your price. The value of what you purchased is $15,000, and that means that you can sell it, or should be able to sell it, to somebody else at a markup, meaning whatever you sell it at, you get to keep the difference minus the expenses, of course. So if I was to buy $2,000 property, then I would go out and sell it to somebody for, say, $10,000. Even though it's valued at $15,000, maybe I sell it at $10,000 because I'm looking for a fast sale, because speed is the name of the game, for example, in this particular strategy. You will go in, sell it at $10,000, keep, right? $2,000 is what it cost you. Now you have $10,000. You don't have the property anymore. Now you have $10,000 to play with. So in this instance, I may go and find maybe one property at $10,000 that I'm going to flip, or maybe I find, say, 5 properties at $2,000 a piece that I'm going to flip. And as you can start seeing, very quickly it becomes very obvious that after a certain period of time, you're going to start being able to accumulate some of the money. And at some point, you say that we go with 5, and now I have 5 properties that I spent $10,000 on, and I sell them at $10,000 each. That's $50,000. So I went from $2,000 that I can invest to $50,000. Now, I could invest all 50, or I could take a portion of that 50 to live off of, pay myself, pay my bills, put in other investments, and then take a portion and rinse and repeat. And that's really what the process with this is once you find your niche, once you get good at it, then it's just a matter of time of being able to churn the properties that you obtain and be able to sell them to somebody else. Now, do you have to sell the properties? You don't. You can, but you don't have to. You can, of course, keep it. Say that you go out there and you find, here's one of the deals that we found a couple of years when I was teaching a live class doing this to a nice group of folks. And we were looking at some of the live auctions that were coming up or just ended. And we found one property. It was, I want to say this was in Miami, Florida. I could be wrong. And the property, it was a condo. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, I believe, in a high rise right by the beach. And I believe that the assessed value was $350,000. And the sale price was, I want to say, about $30,000 plus minus. So that's 10% of the whole thing, which is pretty freaking amazing. Now, if you were to purchase that, if you had $30,000 and you were to purchase that, it's very good probability that you could sell it, or you could actually hold on to it. You could refinance it. And even if you didn't refinance it for the whole 350, say that you refinance only enough to get you $30,000 back. Now you have another $30,000 to potentially invest in something else. And now you have a property that you have, of course, mortgage on that you're paying monthly. But if you have income, it's not a problem that now you can live in. You don't even have to refinance if you don't want to, but many people would choose, especially the ones that are thinking about this as a business and thinking about this as an investment. A third option that you have is, of course, you can either refinance or not refinance, is to be able to rent it and find a tenant. Now, of course, for me, the way I was thinking about doing this is put in $30,000, purchase the property, go out and refinance it, cash out, refine, because I own the property free and clear, meaning I don't owe anything other than like having to pay taxes on a regular basis. And now I get my $30,000 back. I can go and invest in other properties. And now I would rent it out and make sure that whatever I financed it at, whatever my mortgage was, plus insurance and whatever else expenses come in, that my rental could hold it. So say that after financing, that my taxes, insurance, and mortgage and everything else was say $1,000. Could I rent it for $1,250 or $1,500 or whatever it was, whatever the going rental rates are? Now I have a property that I was able to obtain and purchase, right? I have my money back. I didn't have to pay taxes on that because it's a loan and you don't have to pay taxes on that, unlike income. Now I have a tenant in place. They're paying down my mortgage, and I'm still hopefully potentially keeping some of the cash. Now I've created multiple sources of income with just one deal. And this is why the name of the website is One Deal Away, because you really truly could be one deal away from getting yourself from wherever you are to wherever you want to go when we talk about finances. Now, for some of you, it's going to be to become a millionaire, and maybe it's going to be one deal, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be 10 one deals. I don't know. Maybe for you, the goal is just to have a house to live in. Great. You're just one deal away. Maybe you just need to flip it for some quick cash to be able to pay off something else. And who knows, you might fall in love with this and end up quitting your job that maybe you don't even like in order to do something that is very creative, very lucrative. And guess what? At the end of the day, you're playing in a win-win-win-win scenario. Now, why am I saying so many wins? Did I lose my mind? No, I didn't. Because you know what? The government wins because they get money, and now they can use that money that was owed through the taxes to build schools and roads and pay the fire department and take care of the stuff that they need to take care of, assuming that they are taking care of it. The second thing that you do is you help yourself. So you win because you're able to obtain something really highly valued for not a whole lot of money. If you are able to then sell it or rent it, then you are actually helping the other party win. So now you make some profit, which makes you win even more, and somebody else now has a good place to live or build something on or invest in or whatnot. So you really do see how you become part of the win-win-win-win methodology when you participate in something like this. I hope that this was highly inspirational and exciting to you. And if it is, I highly encourage you to make sure that you watch some of these videos again, that you pay attention to, that maybe this is what's giving you the fire that you need that you didn't have when we talked about, maybe you need to figure out a way how to create an investment fund so that you can participate in it. And remember when I said look for ways to lower down your expenses, and I'm not saying that's for lifetime, it's just for a moment in life to do that in order to get this cash, in order to come and participate and play in this market to be able to potentially make money from it. And now you can see why it might be valuable to save up $2,000 or $10,000, go in and participate, because if you can very easily turn $2,000 into, say, $10,000, would that be of value to you? For most people, the answer is yes. And now if you can take that 10,000 and turn it into $50,000, like we talked about in a random example that I just threw out there, would that original $2,000 that you work for be worth to you to put in towards and get $50,000 in return? Again, for most people, the answer is yes. If the answer is yes for you, I highly encourage you to watch this again, to listen to it again, to write down. Here's part of the homework that comes in, to write down of why do you want to do this and what is your strategy? What are you looking to do? Are you going to go for leads? Are you going to go for deeds? Are you going to try both? Are you going to purchase a property you're going to try to flip? Is it going to be a purchase property so that you can actually refinance and potentially rent out and get into another deal? Is it going to be something you own right out and just move in, or have a house for mom to live in when she needs? I don't know what the answers are for you, but I hope that you do. You need to understand what is going to be your exit strategy before you even go in. Make sure you look at some of these states that you're interested in. Find out, are they lien? Are they deed? Are they mutant? What are the different ones? And then look for the different counties that exist and go to those websites. Give them a call, find out more about it, and be able to get those deals and start looking at what is the price, what is the value, does it even make sense for me to look at it? I hope this is exciting to you. If it is, make sure you do me a huge favor. I would really enjoy that like button. And if you want to subscribe, put in the bell notifications, because we're going to continue with this minute challenge in the very next episode. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away. And welcome back to Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. My name is Nev, and I am beyond excited that you are here. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure that you do subscribe because this is not the end of it. We're continuing on. If this is your first video that you somehow stumbled upon, make sure you watch the previous ones because things are going to make more sense when you start from the beginning as opposed to somewhere in the middle. Just like any good book. If you just open in the middle of it, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense because a lot of things happen prior to you realizing. So go to the beginning and then watch in, and of course you will come to this video. If you've been following all along, I welcome you back and I'm excited that you are here. Now it's time to talk about these auctions because we talked about that most of these deals are being sold through the auctions. So it's time to start focusing and talking a little bit about it. And here is going to be an interesting piece is, do you know yourself? Ah, that's a good question. And of course, you're like, but of course I do. When I see myself in the middle, of course I know it's me. Everybody knows me, even me. Some of you might be saying, like, no, not quite sure that I always know who I am. Thank you very much. But that's not what we're talking about here. Part of it is, how do you deal under pressure? Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. So this, I was actually thinking, do I put this in the mindset? Do I not put in a mindset? But you know what? We're kind of making it fluid over here as it goes. And I think it makes sense to talk about it now. Most of these deals are done through the auctions, as I mentioned. Some of the auctions are going to be in person. Some of them are going to be online, and some of them are going to be mail-in auctions. Now, let's talk about the mail-in because there's not much happening there. So, of course, you'll find a deal and you basically write down of what you're willing to pay, and then it's a sealed bid and you just send it off and you have no clue what's going on. You don't know if you're the only person that is bidding on it. You don't know if there's like 1,000 people bidding on it. You don't know if you bid low. You don't know if you bid high. You have no clue whatsoever. The interesting piece about the mail-in bids is that they will take the highest one. Now, here's the part that gets very interesting and kind of strategic. If you think you are going to be the only person bidding on a property, then it makes sense to bid at the starting bid amount. So if the starting bid is $1,000, you put in 1,000 or 1,001, send it in, and that's that. Now, if you're not quite sure and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know, somebody might bid like $10,000, but I really want it and it's valuable, I'm going to put $15,000 and say you're the only one. Well, guess what? The price is going to be $15,000, even if you're the only one. So it's a bit interesting. You can't watch it. You don't know what's happening, but it can be nerve-wracking to do it. The second one is the online auction. Some of them are done kind of live through the video, although not very many. Mostly it's just a website and you see what the current bid is and you put in your amount. And it's very similar to, like, if you've ever bid on anything on eBay, for example, it's very similar to that. You put in and then you get notified if you're a winning bidder or not, and kind of follow that process. Now, the live auctions are very, very interesting, or even the phone auctions are very interesting because, of course, you have to register as a bidder. Sometimes they will require that you bring some proof of funds before you can participate. Most of these, they do have some sort of entry fee that you have to send in. Sometimes those fees are very low. Sometimes they're kind of high. It's not always known, but be prepared that in order to even participate in an auction, you'll have to send the money in. Now, before you freak out about, I'm just sending money, but I'm not even buying anything, they just want to make sure that you actually have some money in it. And if you bid on something and end up being a winning bidder, but you don't fulfill and pay the rest of it, then they might actually keep your money. So that's what they call a skin in the game. When you get into these auctions, it's actually kind of cool. You probably watch some of the stuff on like YouTube or TV where they go in and bid some of the stuff, and they will go in and say, all right, well, we have property number 1 2 3 4 5 located at 5 6 7 8 whatever, right? And they will say starting bid starts at $1,000. And then, of course, you have all these people that are interested in, lot number, blah, blah, blah. So you want to make sure that you know which property you're interested in. So you want to do a research before then. And then you want to be very careful. Now, I talk with my hands a lot, and I have to be very careful when I do these because any nod, you know, any random stuff, and they might actually think that you are bidding. So make sure that you're being very, very careful. Make sure that you're also like, because some people are just like, that's their signal, that's their signal, like they do weird stuff, right? So you want to make sure that you're being very careful about your head movements, about your nodding, about your hands. So for me, it's kind of tough to go into live auctions because I'll be like, oh yeah, woo, good deal, right? But I will go like this and they will think I'm bidding up. I'm not bidding. No, no, no. Anyways, you need to understand yourself and who you are and how you deal under pressure. Now, here is an interesting component to also understand is the clock will start ticking whether you are in live or online auction. And of course, there's always a strategy. You don't know what I'm going to bid. I don't know what you're going to bid. You have no clue what I'm interested in. I have no clue what you're interested in. And here's the interesting piece. There might be parts where somebody might be interested in, say, particular property, but maybe that property is no longer available, or maybe it's sold above the price, or maybe well below, and now they have extra money left. And so while they weren't originally interested in it, they might become interested as we move along. Now, I've also seen it with some of the individuals who maybe didn't do as much of a research, but they see so many people bidding. They were like, I missed something. This has to be a great deal. I need to go in and bid it. Do what you want, but my recommendation is don't do that. If you are uncertain of what it is, I don't recommend doing it. Again, you could end up with a great thing, you could end up with a horrible thing. The hard part is you just don't know. And so for me, the recommendation is, take it for whatever it's worth, is do your due diligence before you make a decision whether you're going to get bid or not. People get caught up in a moment, and these are highly emotional events, especially if you have your heart set on something and you see everybody else bidding, and now you're like, oh no, I set my price to be 5,000 and now it's 5,100. It's only $100 more. Fine, I'll do it. And now it's like bidding, 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 and it's, oh no, I'm not bidding. Oh, I'm not winning. Now it's like 50. Okay, well, I said 55,000 and it was only 5,100. So, I mean, the difference really, we're talking about $200. I can do that. So now you can see how very quickly and easily you can get yourself into a lot of trouble in some of these. My recommendation always, do your due diligence, do your research, understand what you're buying, understand what your maximum amount is that you're going to put in, and then stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with it. All right. So I'm trying to get you to understand that you get caught up in a moment, and it's very, very easy to blow through the money you didn't even anticipate you're going to buy. And sometimes you end up paying way more than you should have. Way more than you know you can afford. Way more than you're comfortable with, and way more than you wanted your return to be. Same goes for tax liens, for example. If I go into an auction, I'm saying I'm not taking anything below 7% because I know that I can make 7% and or less in something else that I don't have to hold for as long an uncertain period of time. Don't get caught up in it and start getting in. The moment it hits below 7, I'm out. Okay? The moment it goes above my set price, I'm out. And it's easier said than done, I can promise you that much. Because again, you start playing these mind games. I don't know if you've ever done it, but I know I definitely have. When you go in, as I talked about it, you set your price of what it's going to be, and then it's only $100 or only $200 or only $50. And you're like, well, what's, and then you start to justify things to yourself, right? You're going like, well, $50, I mean, that's like, I mean, that's like a nice lunch, or maybe like a, dinner or whatever. I'll skip one of those. This is really important. I should definitely do this because I believe in myself and I can make money from it. So I should definitely do this. But the problem is that it's 50 by 50 by 50 that adds up. So you need to understand, how do you react in these moments. The other piece that when we see with the online auctions, similar to what you likely see on eBay, is that the auction will go and there's going to be a moment in time when it starts. So say it starts like right now. And there's going to be a few people that are going to bid. And then if it lasts, say, for like 3 days, at the first there's some action, and then typically like dies off and there's nothing happening. And then we come towards the end of the auction, and then boom, I mean, offers start kind of coming in, and meanwhile you're like, I was winning, what the heck is going on now? Like, I what? Sometimes it can also go into overtime. If there's a lot of activities, they might go into overtime and provide additional time if you want to put in any more money. So say that auction ends right now, and I was the highest bidder up until this point, but somebody just outbid me in the last second of it, and now sometimes, not always, but sometimes they will give me an opportunity if I want to overbid it. Sometimes they will also put in the highest and best, as they call it, which is basically an opportunity for everybody to put in whatever they can. Again, that goes a little bit into that blind auction that we talked about at the beginning, where you don't know what everybody's going to put in. Everybody puts in the best that they can absolutely do. And then the people that are auctioneers, as they're called, they're going to open it up and then sell it to the highest bidder, and you're not going to know if it's you or not. Sometimes they will just go into this overtime where you kind of bid it up for a little bit more, and that can take a little bit of extra time. Not always, but we've seen it sometimes happen as well. So for you, the next piece is go out there to some sort of bid on eBay. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't even matter if you're going to buy it. It doesn't even matter if you're going to bid, but need to understand, how do you act in pressure? Do you come up with excuses? Do your palms sweat? Do you get kind of nervous and start to talk yourself out of it, or talk yourself into it? Do you start to panic when everybody else seems excited about something? Do you get excited about it? You don't even know why. You can't explain it. Did you do your homework? Do you know what the value of the property is? Do you know what you could potentially sell it at? And what does your return on investment need to be in order for you to make this into a profitable business or profitable venture, if that's what you decided to do? All of those questions I can't answer for you. You're the only person that can do it. And the other part is that if you are doing this, again, as part of the family thing or part of with the spouse, make sure that both of you talk it, and that you find who's the responsible one in this venture. Who's the one that gonna talk me off of the ledge? So all of those pieces you need to have in mind, as well as the amount of money that you can pay. Please do note one thing, that when you go in and bid on these things, and if you are a winning bidder, you need to pay up. If you cannot afford it, you likely will be financially penalized, and you might get kicked out of these auctions for some period of time, and sometimes it's for forever. So if this is something you want to do, I highly recommend, don't go and bid if you're not really interested to buy, and don't bid into something that you don't know. But again, these are just suggestions. I cannot tell you what to do. Sometimes we can't even tell ourselves what to do. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. If this is helpful to you and opening up your eyes about how these things work, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, notification, leave comments in the section, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Hi, I wanted to let you know that I found a way to get out of debt and to create an income stream, and it's through using a very simple system of purchasing undervalued real estate assets online and then selling them for 3 to 5 times the profits. I'm talking about Nev's Flip It Online course. This course has been extremely invaluable to me. His training is comprehensive, includes all of the tools, all of the resources, all the downloads that you need to be successful. And I just want to thank Nev very much for offering the course, and it certainly set me up for becoming financially free. Thank you, Nev.
And welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap mini challenge. My name is Nev. I'm your host, and I am delighted to be here. I hope you are as well. If this is your first time coming to this channel or first time watching this series, I highly recommend you start at the beginning and then catch up to this episode. Things are gonna get way more sense if you do that. Now, if you've already been with me from the beginning, I welcome you. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you subscribe, like, do bell notification, put in comments or questions if you have them. I do make sure to check on those on regular basis and respond. I don't do it on a daily basis. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I got so many things that I'm working on. So here we go. We've talked about so many different things, and now it's time to talk about the due diligence. You've likely heard about the term due diligence, especially when it comes to investments, especially when it comes to real estate. So what is it, and why is it so important to do it? Let's talk about it. So, due diligence is nothing more than a fancy name for research, whether it makes sense for you to purchase or bid on a particular property or deal. Now, due diligence is done for so many different things, but we're going to focus here on the properties. If I am considering getting into a particular auction, I might go into the county tax assessor. We talked about that, how to find it. And it's simple, right? Like you can just go in for the county tax assessor, go in and find these deals, and I get the list of deals, and I'm gonna hopefully get it in Excel because it's easier to sort, but you can get it in paper. You whatever methodology works for you, go for it. I'm gonna look into it, and I'm gonna look at the starting bids. And if I, as we talked about, if I only have $10,000, I'm going to focus on the deals that are underneath $10,000. The first part of the research that I like to do is to look at the price that is being offered at versus value. Price, value. I want something for as low of a price as I can get it, as high of a value that I can get it for. So if I can find a property that, say, price starting bid, or price as I like to call it, is $1,000, but the value is, say, 20,000, then I really like that because there's room there. That for me means that I can potentially, if I look at it from the business sense, I can potentially sell this for $20,000. From there, I want to look and learn a little bit more about this particular property or deal. Is it a land? Is it a house? Right? Meaning, does it have any improvements? If it does have improvements, what can I learn about it? Now, most of the time, when these houses and when these deals are put in, If you are local to it or you have means to travel to the location, you can go and look at it from afar kind of thing, but you can't typically go on it or in it. So you've seen some of these things on HDT. I think it's called HDTV. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't watch TV, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't own the TV. But there are shows where you can watch and see some of these, like you've seen it with like a storage, when they go in auction on that. And so they'll start a bid, but you have no clue what's in it. You can kind of like look at it from afar, and that's about it. So you want to make sure that you understand what is the type of property. Where is it located? Are there other things around it? If it's a land, is it something that is buildable on or not? You want to look at, where is it located? Is it highly sloped or not? So, for example, if I'm looking at 2 acres of land, right, which is not bad for a property, where is it located? Is this a swamp? Like, can somebody build something on it? Because if it's a swamp and you can't build on it, chances of me being able to sell it is slim to none. Chances of me being able to do anything with it is slim to none. So you want to pay attention to that. You want to pay attention to the slope. Is it like super steep where it's like there's no way nobody can build on that, and sort of like rolling down? Is it on a cliff? Can you access the property? Meaning, is there ease of way to it? Is there a public road? Is there, like, how do you get to it? So I've seen some of these, and again, just because they're listed there doesn't mean that they are a good deal. You need to do research. Let me tell you a couple of the stories of why we do due diligence. Story number one is there was a parcel that was available for sale, and I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Started to research it, and it was basically a highway divider. What the heck am I gonna do with the highway divider? But of course, it was available for sale, because why wouldn't they if they could? So pass on to that. The next one that we saw, I was actually coaching a client of mine. This was about a year ago, plus minus. So I was coaching a client of mine, and we're looking at particular deals in Seattle, Washington. That's right. Believe it or not, even Seattle has these babies. And we're looking at a few different deals. We were actually preparing her for an auction, and she was very excited. We were looking at stuff, we were researching together. So I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching with her, and we found this one property, and we're like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was like downtown Seattle. The price is perfect. So we started to look into it. Well, guess what? It's a public park. You can't, I mean, you can buy it, but you can't do anything with it. Like, you can't build on it. You can't, like, it's protected. So again, you want to make sure that you do your due diligence and understand what type of property it is, where it's located. Can you do anything with it? Are there any sort of rules and regulations? And most of that stuff you can find right there on the assessor's website. You can also use Google Maps to help you with it. You can go in and take a look into it, put in the address into the Google, and do the little look on top, see where the stores are located, see where it's located, in what part of town, what else is around it. If there's that Google Maps where you can put a little human on the street and, as I like to say, drive about the area, go ahead and do it. You want to understand as much as possible about it. For the properties that have improvements on it, you want to try to learn as much as you possibly can about that particular improvement. You want to do research, again, on the assessor's website. Sometimes they will have drawings, the year that the house was built, and so on. Zillow could become your best friend. Remember how I said you can't really find these deals on Zillow, but you can use Zillow to help you? So Zillow could actually help you, where you can put in the address and take a look about this property. Perhaps it was on the market at some point in the past, and there's some photos about it where you can learn more about it. Maybe there were previous sales where you can take a look into it. You can also look at the tax assessor's website to learn about potentially previous owners and try to understand a bit more about what's going on with this place. Please do note that sometimes when you get properties with improvements, even though it becomes yours, there might be squatters, and there might be squatter rights in that particular state or county. So you want to research and learn about it. How do you go about that? Of course, it is your property. You might have to go through some eviction processes and changing. Some of them might be looking really nice on the outside, but they might be destroyed on the inside. You never know. You want to make sure that you're prepared to do that, because while you might be able to flip it as is, maybe you want to do some work and you also want to put in some amount of money aside to be able to fix it up if that's something that you want to do. So for all of those different reasons, research is crucially important before you even go in it. For me, I like to look at all of those things and many, many more and consider all these different options about, does this even make sense or not? As I said, first thing that I look at is it in my budget? If the answer is no, I don't spend time looking at it. If it is in my budget, I start looking at the price versus value. If there is enough value in it to substantiate the price, then I will continue with my research. So these are the quick ones to go through, and then we start getting deeper and deeper into it. After that, for my strategy, I look in and try to come up with which properties I'm actually even interested in potentially bidding in. There's some auctions where I look and say, not even worth my time. There's nothing that I like, or there's one property that I like. I don't know if I want to spend time and energy getting into it. But if I really, really, really like the property, I will go in and participate nonetheless. So I hope this is helpful to you. It's giving you some thoughts and ideas, and I want to thank you for taking your time to participate in this real estate on the cheap challenge. If this is helpful to you and you're enjoying it, make sure you give me a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit notification, put in stuff in the comment section, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap mini challenge. My name is Nev, and I am beyond thrilled that you are here. I hope that by now you have gotten a whole lot of value and a whole lot of ideas of how you can actually go in and make money through real estate without having to spend tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, without having to walk around, without having to rely on the real estate agents. And I hope that this is really exciting and opening your eyes for you. If this is your first time meeting me, hello, my name is Nev and I am your host. I have been doing this stuff for quite a few different episodes, and if this is the first one that you are stumbling upon, I highly encourage you to go back and start at the beginning, because I find that just like any great movie, this also makes most sense when you start at the beginning as opposed to somewhere who knows where. So we're slowly but surely approaching the end of our challenge, but we're not done yet. We've spent a lot of time talking about the mindset and the different components in it. We talked about some of the money ideas and strategies and how you can turn this into not just a one-time cool thing that you can live in, although you can, but you can actually turn it not just into investment, but an actual full-blown business, and how to start thinking about those strategies. Then we talked about the due diligence and where to find these deals. We've talked about what they are. Now I want to bring in something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is, if you decide that you're going to get into flipping these puppies, how do we do it? So let's talk about it. Because if you were just going in to actually buy properties, great. You just buy them, you have them, good for you, done. But if you're saying, well, I might actually want to sell it at some point, and what are some of my options? Option number one is work with a realtor. That's always an option. However, please do note if it's a lower priced property, it might cost you a whole lot more money than just 3 to 7% commission. The reason for that is that they, yes, will work on a commission. However, if it's below a certain price threshold, you might be looking at having to pay a minimum of $1,000 to $5,000, which if you are selling something, if you bought it for 2,000, you're selling it for 5, and you have to pay a commission of $1,000, it's not becoming as profitable, is it? So, but it is an option out there for you. The next one, which is what many people take, is to sell it by yourself. For sale by owner. Of course, there's a website that does that, but you don't have to list it over there. You can put it on Craigslist. You can list it on Zillow. You can list it on Trulia. You can even use eBay. But here's another piece to also pay attention to. While you can do all of that, well, Facebook Marketplace, I guess, is also an option. While you can do all of that, and there's nothing wrong with it, do keep in mind that you're also likely asking a stranger to give you a hefty sum of money in order for them to obtain a property. Now, if you are just starting out and you don't have as many clients and you're, of course, needing to do different things, there's going to be some contractual pieces that you need to do, such as purchase sale contract. Your attorney or an attorney can actually help you with that stuff. You probably also may or may not want to register business. It's up to you to make those decisions. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just sharing thoughts and ideas to consider if you are going down this path and direction. The part that you need to understand is that if I am, say, a buyer and you are a seller, you're asking me to pony up, say, $10,000 for something that you're going to sell to me. Well, we get into a trust piece. If I don't know you, now if we're friends and I know you, and that's a different thing. But if I'm just reading an ad on Craigslist and I'm calling you and you're saying, oh, send me $10,000 to account 123456, and I promise I will send you the deed to this house. It's kind of like that Prince in Nigeria, whatever emails that we get, right? Like, few people might go for it. Most people are like, this is scammy. I don't think so. So here is where escrow comes to play. Now, escrow is basically a third neutral party where I will give my money into, right? And they will hold the money. You, as the seller, you know that there's money there, right? And now you will actually transfer the deed, the escrow will see it, and once I get my deed, you get your money, done deal. Because the problem without dealing with escrow, again, I have to trust you and send you the money in the hopes that you will send me a deed. What if I send you the money and you don't send me a deed? Now I just got scammed, right? So that's the reason why some people are like, I don't think so. I like doing purchase sale agreements because at least it gives some sort of legal reprieve to the party if they feel they're injured. And I do not anticipate, nor do I recommend you injuring them in any way whatsoever. So make sure you pay attention to the legal contracts and see if that makes sense for you. The other part is if I am a buyer and I'm saying, well, why don't you first give me the deed and I'll send you the money? We're like, I don't think so. Like, I give you the deed, you will never pay me. How does that work? I don't feel comfortable with that. I also understand that. So you might also be prepared that if you don't use escrow, you might not actually get a deal. You might lose some deals from it. So part is you need to be a trustworthy individual, not just play one on internet, but actually be a trustworthy individual and a person of your word. So that's number one. Number two is utilize escrow. But here's the piece you need to understand with escrow. Escrow will typically charge you a small portion, a small fee, which can range anywhere between 1 and 3%, sometimes a little bit higher, but typically not less than 1% on the transfer or the purchase price. Now, and they do that a lot with the properties. However, if we're dealing with a property that is, say, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, that's not a problem. But if you have purchased the property for $2,000 and you want to sell it for, say, $10,000, like we threw out in one of the previous examples, the escrow company that deals with real estate is not going to make enough money for them to be worthwhile spending any energy to help you out. They will likely say no to you, or they will charge you way more than 1 to 3%, and they might require a few $1,000s, again, making it not very lucrative for you to do business with them. A second option is that there might be other companies that do escrow, might not be real estate escrow, that deal with smaller ones. The challenge with those is the vast majority of them don't want any real estate deals. Now what? Well, you're kind of stuck. You can go without escrow. Again, please note that it's going to be much more challenging. The third option, the option that I actually really like, is utilizing blockchain technology to help solve some of these problems. While I still might go out and market my deals on Zillow and Facebook Marketplace and eBay and whatever else, right? Like I can think of Craigslist, whatever. I will use blockchain technology to take the property that I have that I want to sell. I'm going to upload it to the blockchain, and then I'm going to list it out for sale, and I'm going to use that link to share out when I talk about it in different aspects so that people can go through it. Now, particular one that I like, and the first and only one that I know of, is called House. The link for it is down in the description below, and I recommend you check it out. Pretty cool, if I may say so myself. In a full disclosure, it is something that I have actually built and created, and I built it and created it to solve my own problem. My own problem was very similar to what I was just explaining. The realtors were too expensive. The escrows wouldn't take the smaller deals, so in order to solve it, I came up with a solution utilizing technology that we have today known as blockchain. It is built on Ethereum blockchain. It is live on mainnet and basically allows me to take my property, upload it onto the blockchain, list it up for sale, and then allow the individuals who want to purchase it to be able, of course, to contact me, and we can still exchange contracts and chat about stuff and be able to connect. But it also has a built-in smart escrow, which basically locks in the buyer's funds, so I know the funds are there. I'm going to go in and do my deal, send them over the deed, and the moment they get a deed, I also get paid and it gets resolved. Everybody is happy. That is a solution that I have been working on, trying to build, and the moment that the blockchain came in, I said, I got to learn how to do this, implement it into this to help me out with my business. Of course, if you get into the escrow, you can back out. There's a penalty fee for that, and both the buyer and the seller have an ability to get out. However, they will be penalized to do it. The purchases and the sales are done in 3 different cryptos. You can choose which one makes or the buyer actually chooses which one makes the most sense for them. So the property can be purchased in Ethereum, or Ether, I guess. It can be purchased with DAI, or you can be purchased with USDC. So we have 2 stable coins, and of course the blockchain native for Ethereum, because it just makes sense to do it. The moment that the purchase is done, it transfers the hands, and of course the deed goes. You send them a deed. Now they have the NFT / the digital representation of the property. They also get a deed, and you get paid. If you get paid in crypto and you don't want to keep that one, well, it's pretty simple to go to any exchange and trade it for something that you want, as well as be able to actually convert it into the US dollars and rinse and repeat. Part of your crypto, you might decide that you're going to not take all of it, and as the platform grows and develops and we get more, you might decide to keep some in it to be able to purchase it for crypto. So I hope this is exciting to you and that you can see how there's multiple things that are being solved for you. Now, we've covered a lot of stuff. We've had quite a few different videos here in this challenge. So the ultimate challenge to you is, if you're willing to accept it, is to watch all of the videos, do all of the homework, go and find these properties out there, go out into an auction and bid for it, or even just go and sit at an auction, even if you don't bid for it, and When you're ready to sell, if you want to utilize the blockchain technology, I invite you to utilize Session Crypto House. You will get a discount code below for the process. So when you go in and register, make sure you do it pretty soon, even if you don't have a property right now, because it's not going to last for forever. And I want to make sure that you get discounts on the upload costs. They're super low to begin with, but nonetheless, I think any pennies, any dollars you can save, it's always good because it goes towards your investment fund, meaning you can go in and invest in this. I do want to thank you so much for joining me for this. If this was too quick and you need more detail, more hand holding, more information about where and how to do this, and you're a type of person that learns, remember we talked about how do you learn? If you're a type of person that learns from watching, from listening, and from reading, and most of us learn the best by doing all three, and you need extra support, extra guidance, extra things to get you started, then I invite you to join for the full-blown Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge course. It's much longer. We go into way more depth than this. And again, you will receive a special link right down below because you watched all of this and came on this channel. There's a special link where you can get it for a fraction of the actual cost. Remember, we talked about the price versus value, and I always look for things that don't cost as much as the value that I get. The question that I have for you is, are you willing to accept the challenge to put in a little bit of time, a little bit of money in order to create a perfect business, life, income, or whatever else you want to create? It's just in a moment in time. And my question is, are you up for a challenge to go from wherever you are to wherever you want to go? If the answer is yes, I am delighted to help you out. And I thank you so much for joining me for this 100% free challenge. Until next time, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away. Attention real estate investors. If you're extremely lucky, you might be able to find one good deal for every 100 that you look at and stand to make 20 to 40% return on your investment. And that is if you're lucky. Because the market is flooded with overpriced houses, and being that the market is at the top, the only way it can go is down. The statistics are grim. About 80 to 90% of investors will lose everything in the upcoming slowdown. Of those remaining, less than 2% will remain profitable and growing, meaning most people buying real estate right now have a better chance making money with lottery tickets. But that's not the end of it. The problem's actually worse than that. The passive income investors who are purchasing properties in highly expensive markets are banking on rent going up to finally make the purchase profitable. The flippers are hoping that not only the prices will go up, but that there will be willing buyers eager to pay premium, which there won't. So not only do you have tied up your money in something highly illiquid and overspent on your purchase, but if you are like most investors, you leveraged it too. Perhaps worst of all, successful investments have become increasingly critical to success and nearly impossible to find. Between the economy, trying to keep pace with technology, and dealing with the glut of competitors, investors looking to make it a successful business venture have it tougher today than their parents did. In fact, Bloomberg reports that 8 out of 10 businesses will fail within the first 18 months, and in slowing economy, investors have it even worse, where 9 out of 10 will fail within 6 months, losing everything, making those investments being profitable more important now than ever. But luckily for you, there's now a solution to your real estate investing challenges. Introducing Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge that helps you locate highly valuable real estate deals for a fraction of the market value. Just become a member of the site. It's free. Click a few buttons, transfer your money, and you'll own a highly valuable property for pennies on a dollar within minutes. Understand how exactly to research the property to avoid buying a bad deal, and reduce the risk by knowing what you are buying. Once you learn how to do this, you can use it over and over again to research any property anywhere. Create wealth by strategically using the value investing philosophy and learning how to invest even if you are temporarily low on cash. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, my name is Nev Kraguljevic, also known as Nev K. By now, you're probably wondering, who am I and how can I make these claims? My big passion is strategic ways to drastically improve wealth, and I have over 20 years of experience teaching others and helping companies reach their true investment and financial potential. For that reason, I invested a lot of time and personal funds uncovering the tactics of the best investors throughout the history. I took their top tips, tricks, and tactics and used them to create the brains behind my investment strategy, which I'm personally teaching in Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge. Like you, I'm an investor and a business owner, focusing predominantly on real estate. How do I know you'll get phenomenal results with the challenge? Just take a look at the testimonials from my students who are just like you, looking for great deals. What I am teaching in this challenge is the exact same process that I have undergone to go from completely broke and deeply in debt to becoming financially independent in my 30s. Now, I teach others how to do the exact same thing. Just take a look at these testimonials from people just like you who began using strategies I teach in the Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge to locate some amazing deals. This student, Eric L., said, "These deals are great. I knew that there had to be great deals out there, but I didn't know where to find them. Thanks to Nev, I know now where to go, and in only one deal, I can make 6 figures, making this a highly lucrative strategy." My student Sandy A. shared, "I have found a way to get myself out of debt and become financially free, and it's all through Nev's course. He showed me where to find deals, but more importantly, how to research them all online, and I stand to make 3 to 5 times return on my investment per deal." And Derek W. posted, "I have very quickly found out that Nev is not only teaching these strategies, but is a practitioner too. The risk profile is extremely good, and even if I mess up on 3 deals, on the 4th, I would still make so much money that I can pay for the previous mistakes and losses and the entire course, and I'm still profitable." Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge is the most affordable and easy to understand course. Make it as simple for you to find amazing deals in minutes, all from the comfort of your home, office, or even a car. When you join the challenge, you will get 21-day training course utilizing video to help you go from wherever you are right now to where you want to be. In week 1, we will focus on the mindset and how to think differently about money, making money, finding time to reach your goals, and how to deal with haters. In week 2, we shift our focus to talk the investment strategy, including my favorite money techniques to scale up your net worth and grow your business. Inside this training, you will receive my super secret money technique ever, the stack. The most powerful financial strategy, and by far the favorite amongst the students, that helps you understand how to quickly scale up your investing into an empire, all with a little bit of money to start and in only a few short years or less. In week 3, we'll cover how to buy these deals and how to prepare yourself to beat your competition. We will focus on what you must do right now to ensure that you get absolute best deals, and what pitfalls you must avoid to reduce risk and ensure you're not buying a dud. Act now, and you'll also get these exclusive bonuses. Bonus Challenge Training Kit. Inside this kit, you will find some incredible book downloads teaching you the entire process of how to get these deals, why they exist, where to find them, and how to ensure they're profitable. Inside the kit, you will receive Real Estate on the Cheap book, giving you a big picture overview of what these deals are and the key concepts you must know to be successful. Bonus, the Quick Start. Quick Start, which will help you start shifting your mindset to start seeing and recognizing deals easier and faster. It will also show you incredibly powerful and little known ways to access more cash to invest in deals so that you can get started even if you don't have a lot or any money. Bonus, the Book of Deeds. The Book of Deeds, which will teach you how to properly research each deal to avoid duds, properties with no value. Everything you need to get started in real estate value investing venture, including what to look out for and how to protect yourself, how to buy your first or next deal, what actions you must take before you commit to buying the property to reduce your risk, and so much more. Bonus, MP3 audio. All of the trainings converted into MP3 audio so that you can download onto your favorite device and listen multiple times to learn even faster on the go. Join the challenge now, but only if you want to create massive wealth in your life without spending a fortune or taking huge risks, preserve your wealth without hiring a large team or driving around the neighborhood to find your investment property. Give yourself permission to finally start living your life more and worrying about money less. Sign up right now and start learning immediately. Join the challenge today.